Jasmine Cornell. Glad to give you your top headlines and stories at 1 p.m. this Monday morning. I almost said Wednesday. Don't know why I'm jumping ahead there. Well, one of our top stories is the Colin Gray trial. Colin Gray is the father of Colt Gray. He is the alleged Apalachee High School shooter. That is Colt Gray. Opening statements began today in that trial, and we're going to bring in our assignment desk, check in with them to talk a little more about this trial. Very important trial here, Cal. I listened to some of those opening statements this morning, and wow, so much was said.
It was, and first, welcome to Atlanta, Jasmine. I'm glad to have you as part of our team. The opening statements in the Colin Gray trial took place in Winder this morning. For background, and this case obviously has been a major news story in the Atlanta area for the past year and a half. Colin Gray is the father of Colt Gray. Colt Gray is the accused shooter at Apalachee High School. Prosecutors are arguing that Colin Gray is responsible, at least in part, for the actions of his son in carrying out the attack at the school. Defense attorneys are arguing otherwise, that he had no way of knowing what his son had planned to do, and they tried to get his son help before this incident. Let's take a listen to what we heard in court this morning, first from the prosecutor and then the defense attorney. I don't know if we're hearing that sound right now or not. So as I said earlier, the prosecutor in the case spent a good deal of time with the jury saying that it was the actions of the father and not preventing his son from carrying out an attack is the reason that he's standing trial right now. The defense attorney argued in his statement this morning that he had no way of knowing his son would carry out this attack. So this trial is beginning today in Winder. The testimony is already underway. We're expecting this trial could last as long as 3 weeks. That's going to be a big focus, I think, for news organizations and the public in Barrow County over the next few weeks. Jasmine?
That's right, Cal. And, you know, hopefully we can get that sound back up for the trial there. But were there any surprises to you in the opening statement so far?
I don't think there were any surprises. We have, in preliminary hearings that we've covered, we had a good sense of what the arguments of both sides are going to be. And I think both attorneys tried to make the point to the jury to consider the evidence in this case. Again, we have 3 weeks of testimony coming up here, so both sides are going to have their chance to present to that jury their sides of this case. Now, there's another criminal case that we're watching. This one is in Athens. This involves the murder in 2001 of Tara Baker. Tara Baker is a University of Georgia law school student. Edric Faust is the defendant in that case. The testimony wrapped up last week. We had closing arguments in that case on Friday evening. The jury in this case in Athens, Clark County, got the case about 12:38 this afternoon. So that jury is just beginning its deliberations. Tyler Fingert, who's been covering that story for us for the past 2 weeks, will be monitoring activities in the court. And again, after 2 weeks of testimony, it'll be interesting to see when we might get a verdict in that case. Okay. There was another court action this morning involving an incident that happened in Athens over the weekend. This was a murder outside of a dentist office. The gentleman you see there is the dentist, or at least a former dentist, 73-year-old David Mays. He is charged with murder. On Saturday afternoon, Atlanta police say he shot and killed someone outside of his dental office. Circumstances we don't know. Mr. Mays was scheduled to make his first court appearance in Atlanta Municipal Court earlier today. Our Allie Levine is on that story and trying to get some questions answered, a little bit more about what may have happened in this case. And our legislative reporter, Deidre Dukes, is on a story about a bill that's being considered by the legislature this session. And this involves the release of videotapes that have been taped by police agencies. What the bill is trying to do is prevent any police surveillance tape, whether it be body cam or dash cam, in the case where someone has died, to be used by a organization to post it online and basically to make a profit for it. Now, according to what we understand about the bill, this would not prevent other law enforcement agencies of using the tape, or in news media organizations, which, by the way, would not show the death of someone. But according to the sponsors of the bill, they want to prevent any kind of online service from making a profit using those tapes. So we'll see where that bill goes. Finally, I talked about this last week. Our Atlanta Braves have more problems today. Another one of the pitchers who they had anticipated were going to be a starting pitcher has an arm issue. So we haven't even had our first exhibition game, which will be this Saturday. And already we have 3 Braves pitchers at least who have arm issues. It is not starting the season the way us Braves fans want. So, Jasmine, maybe we can get that turned around before the season begins.
Yes, hopefully you all can get that turned around. I don't know much about the Braves. I didn't watch baseball growing up, but I'm going to have to now that I'm here in the Atlanta area.
We're going to make you a Braves fan very quickly, especially in this newsroom.
Well, thank you so much, Cal, for giving us the details on those stories today. And moving now, we're going to get into the latest on the Nancy Guthrie case. So 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, that's the mother of NBC Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. And right now, investigators are awaiting DNA results from a glove they found near Nancy Guthrie's home, not too far away. And so Fox's Asher Red is in Tucson, Arizona right now, and he has the latest on this case.
Well, Jasmine, the FBI says investigators found 16 gloves in the area around Nancy Guthrie's home. 15 of those were investigators' gloves that they tossed on the ground while they were searching that area. But there's one glove that seems to match, according to the FBI, appears to match the glove that the suspect was wearing that was caught on Nancy Guthrie's doorbell camera. Now, the Pima County Sheriff's Office sent one of those gloves to a forensics lab in Florida for DNA testing, and the FBI says the preliminary results are in, but they're waiting for confirmation before they add this unknown male DNA profile to its national database called CODIS. Here you can see the suspect approach Guthrie's front door wearing a black glove and a 25-liter Ozark Trail hiker pack, likely bought from Walmart. Now, the FBI describes this person as a man between 5'9" and 5'10" with an average build.
The positive hit in the CODIS system. If not, then they will likely go into the genealogical DNA systems to see if there's a match there, because again, CODIS is only for those that are in the criminal system already.
Meanwhile, Fox News Digital has learned that investigators are using a high-tech Bluetooth scanner on the bottom of a law enforcement helicopter trying to pick up a signal from Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker. That helicopter has been flying in low, slow grid patterns in this area around Nancy's home. Now, Guthrie's daughter, Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, has also released a new video on social media speaking directly to the suspect and pleading with them to do the right thing. And we are learning also that neighbors and friends are contributing to a growing memorial outside Nancy Guthrie's home, specifically at the end of her driveway. Flowers and notes are being left there. Now, the FBI is offering a $100,000 reward for any information leading to the recovery of Nancy Guthrie, and also any information leading to a possible arrest and conviction of anyone who could be involved in her disappearance. Jasmine?
Thank you, Asher. And I know we don't have time to ask you questions right now, so thank you so much for sharing that update on the search for Nancy Guthrie.
Thank you.
And, some questions I do have about this, how long will it take for the DNA to analyze the glove that was found? Hopefully we can get answers on that. Also, what will happen if DNA is a match for this person that this masked person that they saw on the video, that authorities saw on the video. But for now, we're going to go ahead and take a look at whether our meteorologist Alex Forbes has the latest on your weather forecast.
North Georgia today as temperatures are in the 60s under clear skies. What more can you ask for in the month of February, right? As we work our way into the afternoon by 4 o'clock, looking for 66 here in the city. And then I guess we need to redo that because the thing. Hold on. Okay, and 3, 2, 1. Clear skies, the name of the game across Metro Atlanta and North Georgia this afternoon as temperatures are in the 60s. What more can you ask for on a February afternoon? It's way above the norm. 58 is where we should be. I'm looking for 67 as a high temperature here within the next couple of hours. 68 tomorrow for Mardi Gras, 70 on Wednesday, 76 on Thursday, 75 on Friday. Are we sure it's February? Now, you know how we get fake fall in September. This is fake spring in February. We will get back to reality by the time we get towards Sunday with a high temperature of 59. That's going to be on the flip side of some rain on the way some point through the weekend. Here's a closer look at this President's Day. 68 in Smyrna, 66 in Lawrenceville today, 67 in Conyers, 69 over in South Fulton, and 67 in Villa Rica. Here you go down on the south side, a little closer to 70 in a handful of spots. And then up on the north side, might even hit 70 in a handful of spots. There's Rome and Cedartown, 68 in Cartersville, 65 in Cornelia, 66 in Clayton, 67 in Blue Ridge, and 67 over in Dalton. Now, through the day today, you're going to be looking at plenty of sunshine, and that's going to allow for clear skies tonight. That means it's going to be cool on Mardi Gras morning with temperatures low to mid 40s, maybe even some 30s up on the north side. And then into the afternoon, yeah, there you go, on the warmer side. Wednesday is when things begin to change a bit. Getting some cloud cover building in with some scattered showers Wednesday afternoon. The rain chance at about 10%. But then we get towards Thursday and Friday. This is the GFS here. You see some widespread showers in here Friday afternoon with the bulk of the rain coming through sometime late Saturday, it looks like. This isn't entirely bad news because this would mean a lot more rainfall, but you look at the European model and it has better timing on it. This is Friday morning. Rush hour won't be fun, trust me, but if we're able to get this through here Friday, say by 3 o'clock, we're going to be smooth sailing into the weekend, and I would vote for that one if I had the opportunity to. But still some uncertainty there, so we're going with a 40% chance of rain both days. 70 beginning Wednesday, 10% chance of rain there. Overnight low temperatures also on the warmer side. Keep in mind our average high is 58. Our low temperature on Friday should be right around 60 before we're cooler into Sunday. Meteorologist Lauren Robinson is going to have an update to this forecast tonight on Fox 5 News at 4, 5, and 6. You can, of course, catch that on Fox 5 and streaming here on Fox Local.
All right, Alex, thank you for that update there. I'm looking forward to some 70-degree weather, so excited about seeing that this week. Well, we are comparing the benefits and the risks of daylight saving time. We'll have more details and an interview with a sleep expert after the break. Well, whether you're for it or against it, daylight saving time starts in less than a month on March 8th. That's a Sunday. A sleep expert that is believes that the risks outweigh the benefits. So he joins us now, Mr. JP. He's the president of Save Standard Time. Thanks for coming in and talking about daylight saving time and the impact that it has on your sleep.
Good day. Nice to be with you. Thank you.
Yeah, so my first question for you, again, daylight saving time happening soon. What happens to our bodies and our brains when we jump forward?
Well, when we spring the clock forward, you're setting your alarm clock an hour earlier than you were doing so on standard time. So you're subtly waking up earlier in the morning. You'll notice that it's darker out that second week in March. You're going to feel less rested. It's really hard on the body and the brain, and it can lead to the acute effect of the heart attacks and car accidents, and over the long term, a chronic effect of less sleep and less wellness overall.
And, how does this affect our circadian rhythm? There are sleep patterns.
Yes, so our circadian rhythm is this internal body clock, this cadence of waking up in the morning and seeing the morning light, which stimulates a release of cortisol and helps you feel more alert and ready for the day. And then the evening, when the sun goes down, that will naturally stimulate melatonin and bring on drowsiness so that you can sleep easily. With daylight saving time, we have too much darkness in the morning, which has us feeling groggy all day, and then too much light in the evening, which makes it harder to fall asleep. And this misalignment from DST is not good for our brain health, our metabolic health, and it can lead to a drag on children's education in school and our performance, productivity in the workplace. DST and circadian misalignment can be very dangerous on our roadways and our construction sites. We really should be keeping permanent standard time year-round. Standard time being the clock that is more closely aligned to where the sun is positioned in the sky. The old high noon being 12 p.m. It's the more honest clock, and when we keep to permanent standard time, historically, it's the clock that produces the best results for health and safety overall.
All right, thanks for answering that question. And I do want to talk a little more about permanent standard time. But first, going back to daylight saving time, why do, what puts people at risk more for not feeling their best self? Some people say daylight saving time it works for them.
Well, I think most people are noticing that they enjoy the springtime, and that's working for you. Or we feel better in the summer than in the winter, and that's a correlation and not a causation. We do DST in the summertime because if we did it in the winter, it would make it dark until 8:30, 9 o'clock in many places in the nation. In Atlanta, your latest sunrise is 7:44 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on January 7th. But if we had permanent DST, the sun in Atlanta wouldn't rise until 8:44 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So it's really, we need to see that morning light when we wake up that helps us get going, not need so much coffee in the morning, and to live a healthier, more productive lifestyle. And that's what Standard Time can provide us year-round. That's what Arizona, Hawaii, and most countries do, and any state has the power to ditch DST and restore permanent standard time.
And I know you mentioned that a lack of sleep can affect workplace productivity, but what are some other issues that can come with sleep disruption?
Well, we can see it in the productivity, and it's actually been measured in scientific studies that when you are on DST, you are sleeping less and you are earning a lower percentage of revenue. We also see it affect students' test scores. SAT scores can be lower on daylight saving time versus standard time. Roadway safety is a huge issue. We see more car accidents when we have less light in the the morning when we're on daylight saving time. And so the roads are safer when there's a balance of sunlight in the morning and the evening, which standard time can provide.
Thank you, Jay. And one last question for you. How can a person recover when they lose that sleep, and how can they prepare? So I guess that's kind of two questions. Prepare for the springing forward, and how can they recover when they lose sleep?
Well, if you want to prepare, you can try to get ready for that spring forward coming up on March 8th. Try to go to bed a little earlier each day leading up to that date. I know it's challenging, and try to get exposure to morning sunlight as much as you can. That will help get your body onto this new rhythm of waking earlier on DST. And of course, remind your members of Congress that you don't want daylight saving time, and it'd be safer just to stick to standard.
Thank you so much, Jay, for answering all these questions about daylight saving time and how it can be detrimental to someone's health.
Thank you. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
And that was Mr. JP with Save Standard Time there, talking about the benefits and risks of daylight saving time. Now, as you know, February is Black History Month, and we have a special story here in our Fox 5 streaming desk. If you joined us here live last Friday, we told you about the Bulldogs Five. Now, they were the first African-American scholarship football players at the University of Georgia. So we spoke to one of the players last week, and today on Good Day Atlanta, our Alex Whitler spoke to three of those men, of those history-making men, that is.
I want to jump in and just take us back to the moment that you found out you were going to be on this team. Maybe each of you can answer it individually. Were you nervous at all? Did you feel like, I'm going to have this spotlight on me? Just take me back to where it all began.
Yeah, for me, my parents were involved in the recruiting process, and my dad heavily influenced me coming to the University of Georgia. I really wanted to go and play for the University of Tennessee, but when we came down on a visit, the team chaplain took my folks out, very religious, and so that was it. That was a done deal. Came back to the hotel. Dad says, "This is where you need to go."
That's all she wrote.
So that's how I got here.
What about you?
Well, I was absolutely ecstatic, basically because of the fact that I was not actually recruited, but had it been for a particular individual with Clark Central that sort of went before me and encouraged the athletic department at the University of Georgia that I would be a good fit. and of course I was excited about it, and of course my family, my grandmother, she raised me, and my great grandmother, and my great granddad had passed, and he was a particular individual, a pastor, but he always adored the fact that I wanted to play football, and bought me my first football outfit.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love every bit of it. It sounds like you were confident going in too. And what about you?
Well, I was recruited, a guy named Dr. Walter Allen. He ended up being a professor at the University of Georgia. Read a story sometime, a guy named Paul Gibson played at University of Houston. He and Elmo Wright actually saw them play the University of Georgia. They had a 7-7 tie. The black people in Athens at the time was pulling for the University of Houston because they had 3 football players.
Okay.
And during that recruiting process, my mother just kind of looked at me, and she made the decision that I was going to the University of Georgia, and she pretty much ran the place. So
yeah. She said, "You're going to be a history maker."
Don't know if that was in her mind. She told me where I was going to school.
Well, let's talk about that then, though, because I'm sure you've heard this phrase that black students, athletes, sometimes black employees have to be 5 times better to get half as much. Was that something that was top of mind for you as you were stepping onto that field, or did you just think, I'm here to play?
Well, for me, coming from the local high school in Athens, which was a first year desegregation or segregated at that particular time, 1970, the desegregation process began, and we had coaches and that were actually they wasn't too pro black.
And you felt it.
Yeah, you truly felt it, and of course they made it very obvious on the field, and that means that you had to play far and above the other average athletes. And of course, the thing about that is we didn't try to compare ourselves in playing against each other. We just wanted to do the very best, up to our own ability. And of course, coaches had a lot to do with it because they're gonna get the very best out of you.
Of course.
And I think with us five, I mean, we always challenged each other. If we saw each other slumping a little bit, that it didn't go long. We always stepped it up.
Sure.
I always grew up in an environment where you had to be better than. When I came out of high school, I felt like I was an elite athlete. High school, I was state champ wrestler, state champ discus thrower, all-state football, and so I felt like I'd be in a position to compete. And so I was basically prepared for it from that standpoint. I knew what it was going to be like. I had integrated a lot of other situations, and being better than was a philosophy that my parents and my uncles and aunts they taught us, and so we knew that was the way it needed to be in order for us to be competitive. So
we have just seconds left, but I want to acknowledge something here, that you all knew what you were up against, and now today we can look and see all of these athletes who have stepped into your former place. I mean, our very own DJ Shockley, who's on the air here all the time, is a former Bulldog, thanks to you guys. So that must feel incredible to know that 55 years later, you look great, by the way, people are still benefiting from the time that you were there. So tell me about this documentary. Whose idea was it to start it?
Basically, all of our ideas. We, as five, come together and really realize that what a blessing that we're still alive. And the camaraderie that was then, still is now, and we just wanted to be able to give back.
I love every bit of that.
This gives us an opportunity to leave something that can be built on. So we feel real good about that.
There is a scholarship, though, an opportunity for students to get some money. If you could, with just a couple seconds left, tell us about that.
We've endowed 2 scholarships at the University of Georgia. We stroked a check for the first one, and we hope to fund the second one through this event that we're having on the 22nd. And by the way, DJ Shockley is going to be emceeing that event for us.
I saw his picture on the flyer.
So
how appropriate.
We're very excited about that.
Yeah, I'm excited for you guys. Can't wait to see the documentary. And I wish we had more time, because I know you've got some very compelling, memorable stories from your time at UGA. Great meeting all of you. In case you guys are interested, the documentary, The First Five, Legacy in Motion, premieres Sunday, February 22nd. It's at the Gathering Spot in Atlanta. So for tickets, you can head to our website, fox5atlanta.com. Just go to the Good Day tab and click on today's viewer information link.
That was our Alex Whitler reporting there. Such a great story. Can't wait to see that documentary as well. Well, your time is 1:29. We're going to check back in with the Colin Gray trial. Colin Gray is the father of the accused Apalachee High School shooter, Colt Gray. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We are taking a look at some breaking news right now. A car removed. It was submerged near a boat ramp. This is in Forsyth County, Tidwell Park on Lake Lanier, that is, and there's a look at that scene there. Again, the car was submerged and it was removed. Don't know right now if anyone was injured here, but there's a look at the scene there. Hopefully everybody is okay there in the scene. We'll give you an update once we have more details on this situation. Now moving now to a trial that we have been following and we told you about earlier in this show, the Colin Gray trial. Colin Gray is the father of Colt Gray. He is the accused Apalachee High School shooter, and it is day one with opening statements. They began this morning. Let's go ahead and talk about this trial and more on what's trending with our digital team. So let's bring in our digital team right now. Joyce Lupiani, she's here to talk more about this trial and much more.
Hi. Well, like you said, I think Cal pretty much explained what was going on with that trial. Colin, who is the father of Colt Gray, is on trial because he evidently purchased the gun that Colt used in the mass shooting at Apalachee High School. So we are streaming this both on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. And we've had like hundreds of people like watching this morning. And a lot of those people have very strong opinions as to what's going on. I was reading through some of the comments, and like I would say probably like 90% of them were in there saying that, you know, Colin, Colt's father, should definitely be held responsible. Interesting, you know, when the prosecution started talking this morning, because there's been a lot made about the fact that this is only like the second time that like a parent of a mass shooter has been brought to trial. But when the prosecutor started this morning, he actually said that this wasn't really about holding parents responsible, that this was more about what Colin Gray did or did not do. Now, like I said, a lot of people who have been watching our live stream seem to think that, you know, Colin is definitely guilty and he needs to be held responsible. Now, when the defense got up there, they were like, okay, yes, Colin did this, but he did not know exactly what his son was planning on doing. They even said that Colt was leading like a double life. And they said that Colin was trying to get his son help. So we're just getting started. I know like there's people on the stand that are testifying now. I think they're mostly like police officers. Haven't really had a chance to listen for the last half hour or so. But I think this is supposed to last about 3 weeks. So I'm sure we're going to find out a lot more interesting information. And moving on from that, we have a couple of more stories that are actually doing really well for us today. Marjorie Taylor Greene, if you live in Georgia, you know who Marjorie Taylor Greene is. Well, she used to be like Trump's biggest supporter. I mean, she was a real cheerleader for President Trump. And unfortunately, they had a bit of a fallout like a year or so ago. And it even got to the point where, you know, because she was disagreeing with the president so much that people were actually threatening her and threatening her family. So she made the decision to resign. So she resigned. That went into effect like the 1st of January. And now they have to have a special election to fill that seat. So early voting is kicking off this week. That's why we're talking about it. And there's like 18 or 19 people who are running for that seat. I think it was like 24 people originally, but 3 or 4 of them have dropped out over the past week or so. So I think there's like 18 or 19 people who are hoping to take her place early voting is getting underway this week, and then election day is going to be March 10th for the special election. And if nobody gets the majority of the vote, then they're going to have a runoff, and that's going to be April 7th. So it is mostly Republicans. I think there's like 13 Republicans, 3 Democrats, a Libertarian, an Independent, but there's definitely a lot of people. Oh, by the way, President Trump has endorsed Cal Fuller. I'm sorry, I forgot his first name, but he is the district attorney for the Lookout Mountain Judicial Circuit, and that's who is endorsed. Oh, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, she is still very, very active on social media. She's been doing like a lot of media interviews lately. She definitely has not stopped talking about President Trump. So, I mean, she's not hiding from anybody. Doesn't seem like it. She's still definitely voicing her opinion, but it's kind of crazy to see what happened with that relationship, how she used to be such a big Trump supporter, and now she doesn't agree with him on a lot of different things.
That's right, Joyce. I do agree with you there. It is interesting, this change for Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I'm interested to see who ends up taking her seat. And again, also interested in the Colin Gray trial and how that plays out as well.
I did have one more thing before we go, because everybody seems to have this. Peanut butter. We all eat peanut butter, right? Well, apparently there's a pretty big recall that's going on right now, and Georgia is on the list. I mean, 40 states are on the list, so almost most of the states are involved in this, but there's a recall. It's Ventura Foods, and apparently there's like pieces of the blue plastic that somehow made it through the filter during the production process, so it's like in the peanut butter, like mostly the single serve creamy peanut butter packets and the peanut butter and jelly combination products that they distribute. And like I said, 40 states, Georgia on that list, along with our neighbors, Florida and Tennessee and North Carolina, as well as, Texas and California. So if you have like a peanut butter product, any of these single serve creamy butter packets or the peanut butter and jelly combination things, you should probably just throw them away. It's better to be safe than sorry. It's not worth it. It's like probably not going to kill you, but there could be some pretty serious consequences if you ingest the pieces of blue plastic. So it's always a good idea to pay attention to these recalls, and if you got the products, check what you got and just get rid of it. Better to be safe than sorry.
Absolutely, I'm with you there. Better to be safe than sorry. And it's just so crazy. So many things are being recalled nowadays. It's hard to shop for groceries.
Definitely. That's probably why you just eat out most of the time, and hope that they are looking out for that sort of thing.
Now, Joyce, you mentioned something to me in the break. Robert Duvall passed away, and so
oh my gosh,
yes, I wanted to talk about that. I wanted you to talk about that before we let you go. I did not watch The Godfather.
I totally forgot about it. So
oh, that's okay.
Robert
Yes.
Duvall. He has died at the age of 95. It's like literally just coming across the wires right now. So I don't know like a lot of details, but he was 95, and he made over like 100 movies, but I think most people probably know him for like The Godfather and Apocalypse Now, To Kill a Mockingbird. I mean, MASH. I can't even remember all the movies. He was in like 100 movies. So he is very, very well known. And, it's definitely sad when someone, like that passes away. But, his legacy, he is leaving a legacy. And we'll be able to enjoy his movies for a long, long time.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing more on that. Very sad story here, but he does leave behind a legacy here. I did not watch The Godfather. Don't judge me, but I have never seen that movie. I did, see To Kill a Mockingbird. So great movies there. My family watched The Godfather, so I've heard about that. Thank you so much for your time, Joyce. And so now we're going to move on to another story here. Very important. Colon cancer is important. It's the third most common cancer and third leading cause of cancer-related deaths in the U.S. for both men and women, and it's rising significantly in people under the age of 50. So important to get screenings for colon cancer. Last week, we learned that actor James Van Der Beek's passing at 48 years old was from colon cancer. And Fox 5's Elise Edie discussed with an Emory doctor named Neil Winover about this and the importance of getting screened for colon cancer.
So we've seen colorectal cancer move up the list from the 5th leading cause of death in this age group decades ago to now being number 1.
Yeah,
Wow.
Well, there are many reasons why. With breast cancer, there have been better treatments. With lung cancer, people haven't been smoking as much. And then with colorectal cancer, it's been going up about 1% a year over the last few decades. And the reason is because people are eating a diet that's less high in fiber, more processed food. This is the thinking. We don't know for 100% for sure, but it's more likely that when you eat diets that are processed, it causes increased inflammation in the GI tract and the bowel, and that can change the microorganisms of the microbiome, the flora of the lining of the colon, which can also affect bowel health. So it's probably a mixture of what we're eating. The you are what you eat here, I think, really is relevant, and I think that's why when you have inflammation, it leads to increased risk of cancer.
So let's discuss screening. That's where you're trying to detect cancer symptoms before they develop. So what's typically the age range, Dr. Winover, for screenings?
45 to 75 with some caveats. People who have a family history of cancer or inflammatory bowel disease need to be screened earlier. People who are super fit into their 70s might get screened later on in life, but generally we start at age 45 and continue on to 75, so that 30-year range.
And what are the typical screening tests available?
Yeah. Before we even start out, I want to give a shout out to my uncle Sid Winower, who is a gastroenterologist who is a pioneer in this field at Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. Him and his group 45 years ago showed that most colorectal cancers start off as a small growth or polyp. And if you can detect that polyp and remove it, you reduce the risk of cancer. So colonoscopy has been the gold standard, and every 10 years trying to detect those polyps. But you could also do screening looking for blood in the stool. You could also look for the genetics of the cancer. These are less invasive tests that people might opt for. Or a CT as well that can do a virtual colonoscopy people may have heard of as well. So there are a variety of different screening tests that you can embark on. And the most important and the best screening test is the one the patient actually does.
There you go, right? The one the patient actually does. Makes sense. So let's talk about symptoms that people should be aware of.
Yeah, people need to be aware of certain symptoms. Blood is a big one. Now, you shouldn't blow it off and think it's hemorrhoids, which obviously is a very common cause of bleeding, but blood in the stool is something that's abnormal. Changing your bowel habits. If you develop constipation, diarrhea, or a cycle of having constipation and diarrhea, or the caliber or the shape of your stool is abnormal over a period of weeks, not a day or two, but over a period of a week or two, you should get that checked out. Abdominal pain is a big one. Or bloating. Don't blow it off as irritable bowel or IBS. This is something that if it goes on for too long, you should get checked out. And then unexplained weakness or fatigue, because you may be anemic, you may be losing blood and feel very tired all of a sudden. Or unexplained weight loss. You're dropping pounds, you're using more of your belt that you never really used before, or your clothes that feel looser on you, where you're losing weight even if you don't have a scale, but you can tell in the mirror that some things are different. Those are the major cardinal symptoms that you really should be primed about and take action if you have any.
Yeah, don't ignore. So what percentage of people of screening age are actually up to date?
60 to 70% for all comers, but what Mr. Vanderbeek was really talking about is the younger group. When you look at the 45 to 49 group, it's really only 25 to 35% because because people aren't primed to think, hey, when I turn 45, this is something that I have to do. You live your life and then you hear other people having issues and say, oh, I'm getting this done, and then you finally get around to it. When you look in the over 50 group, it's higher up. It's about 60 to 70%, so it's better. We're shooting for at least 80%. That is the goal. So we're trying, but in the younger group, we really have to sound the alarm that this is something important that should be done.
Yeah, and speaking of the younger group, I mean, it's not the first time that we've seen someone younger lose their life to this. Chadwick Boseman comes to mind for so many of us. He was just 43 years old. So should the guidelines potentially be lowered in the future?
Yeah, it's a great question. Someone might think that, right? But the problem is when you start doing colonoscopies on a lower risk group, you run the risk of bleeding and bowel perforation or other risk or complications of the procedure in a low risk group. So some people may, and once again, we're talking about people who do not have a strong family history. These are average people. So you might want to do some non-invasive testing of blood in the stool or genetic testing of the stool. That might be reasonable. But the big thing is for those younger people in their 30s and their 40s, eat a good diet, high in fiber, low processed food. Be aware of these warning symptoms so you take action, because at the time of your diagnosis, if you start having pain, usually you're stage 3 or stage 4. It's going to be advanced because you only feel pain when that growth is going through the bowel wall into your lymph nodes or into other organs. So that's why screening is so important. But just be aware of those symptoms too, so you don't blow it off and wait months and months and months having these symptoms, but you get recognized as early as possible so you can get into treatment. So that's the big thing, really. Be aware of those warning symptoms, have a good diet, and in certain people it may make sense, but in most, there's a big difference also between 45 to 49. When you look at the cancer rates, they go up a lot, so it really makes sense. And then lastly, we just need to be better at screening in that younger group. I mean, if we're only at 25, 30%, there's so much more we could do in the group above 45 to 49 before we start trying to screen people even younger than that. Yeah. So that's my take-home message. Some big takeaways, you know. I think one of the main ones is just not to ignore those symptoms and to start at age 45 getting these screenings. 100%. Yeah, that's what we can do. Know your body, know when something is not right, and see your doctor, get it checked out. You know, hopefully it's just nothing, but you don't know unless you see somebody who's trained to be able to assist in that. Yeah, I'm talking colorectal cancer this morning with Dr. Neil Winnower. Dr. Winnower, thank you so much. Some very important info that you shared with us today. Oh, it's my pleasure. If anyone has any questions, they could always reach out to me. Okay, there you go.
And that was our Elise Edie doing that interview there. Some very important information on colon cancer and the importance of getting screened. Time is 1:49. We're going to head out to a story after the break that focuses on caring for the environment. It's called Weed Wrangle. What a tongue twister there. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Jasmine Cornell. Happening right now, and it has been happening for a couple of days now, is the weed wrangle. Today, volunteers are pulling out weeds and invasive species in several public parks across Atlanta. And our Chris Rosenthal is out there. Are you pulling out some weeds too?
Yeah, you know, I've been mostly kind of supervising here, but maybe
okay.
You know, maybe helping these folks out here. You know, they've been out here since about noon here at Mary Scott Nature Park in DeKalb County, and pulling out all kinds of weeds, all kinds of mess here, and invasive species that shouldn't be here. And I've got Susie Nixich here with the Georgia Native Plant Society. Tell me a little bit about this area that we're working in, and what are you finding here?
Okay, well, this is one of the things you find. You find this often. This is a Japanese honeysuckle. It's real fragrant in the spring. People love to have it growing all over their fences, but I take it down because it spreads like crazy. And look, here it is in the park in the middle of nowhere. How did it get here? Birds, people, water, wind, and that's been a big problem at a lot of these parks, a lot of our parks all around Georgia. This area is we've got a lot of blackberry, but we have evergreens that you see. We don't have too many native evergreens, so things like that, cherry laurel.
And you know, this stuff spreads, huh? This stuff spreads into. I mean, the park's just right over here. I'll pan the camera around. I mean, this stuff spreads very quickly, huh?
Oh, it spreads really quickly. If you don't keep up with it, it'll come back. Especially if there's a lot of Chinese privet, it'll come back. You can pull for a year, walk away for a year, and it'll all be back.
Why is it important to get rid of this stuff? What damage does it?
Blocks the sun from the forest floor. It has no nutritional value for any of our birds. Doesn't do anything for the insects. If you don't see any holes eaten in the leaves, it's not benefiting insects at all. Oh God! And our natives are just attract our pollinators. They attract all the birds. They know these non-native stuff.
This stuff really gets in the way. So you guys are out here today and picking this stuff, pulling it apart. Volunteers, all volunteers?
Yes, all volunteers.
And you've had about 10 people or so out here just in this park alone. People want to come and help out. I mean, you need help getting rid of this stuff, huh? Maintaining. Huh?
Oh, we do. We're on a pretty much of a maintenance stage here. If you look around, there's bits of ivy everywhere, bits of Japanese honeysuckle, and always Chinese, or the that other one that's coming up. I said it a million times. Cherry. We're always going to need people to come here and pull this kind of stuff because it's always.
How can people help and get involved?
Well, I tell everyone go to the Georgia Native Plant Society website, gnps.org, and check the event calendar. We have certified restoration sites that have their work days on the calendar. So, yeah.
Cool. And just to give an idea, we see what a bad area looks like. This is a good area, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
This is kind of what you're going for, huh?
Yep. Remember how I pointed out to that monkey grass?
Yeah.
That people plant all over the place? They're still planted everywhere. You're seeing a lot of commercial plants.
Yeah.
And they end up in the parks. I've already moved 3 bunches of it today. But here's a good alternative. This is a native sedge, right? And oh, look, and a moth just flew out.
Yeah.
So he was doing something there, and I just bugged him.
Yeah, but that's good stuff to have. So.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then we have the beautiful beech trees. I've seen parks where there's so much privet that you can't even see the leaves of the beech trees. So
Wonderful.
This is beautiful.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, great opportunity. Come out, get outside, and do some volunteer work. Georgia Native Plant Society, GNPS. Go to their website. Plenty of opportunities. If you missed out on the weed wrangle, they could always use hands out there.
We can always use hands out there. This is we need more young hands too. We got to educate those young people because they need to carry on after we're long gone.
There you go.
Well, that's our Chris Rosenthal reporting there.
Nice one.
Again, an initiative to help care for the parks here in the Atlanta area. Very important initiative.
Yeah, Jasmine, I always love how Chris takes us out to something unique, something we haven't heard of yet. And what better way to spend a holiday than to go out and try to beautify your community. So I really love it.
Absolutely. And you have some stories coming up at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, Jasmine, we have a busy day today. No doubt you felt that at 1 o'clock. And guys, as we continue here at 2, we have the latest on the Colin Gray trial. We're going to take a look at this coming up at 2 o'clock and discuss what is ahead. As many of you know, this is going to be a historic trial and likely set precedent in many ways. So we're going to get into that. We also have some breaking news. We're continuing to follow the latest on a car that was found submerged in Lake Lanier and some other stories like legendary actor Robert Duvall, his passing as well. So a lot of things still ahead here at 2 o'clock.
Absolutely. And we did get to mention Robert Duvall very briefly. Did you watch his movies?
Jasmine, I have to say, yes. One of my favorites was actually a really obscure film called Secondhand Lions. So good. I loved it. But like you, I actually have not seen The Godfather. So maybe we'll work on that. We'll work on that.
We do need to work on that for sure. Well, thank you for joining us here at Fox 5 News Live. I'm Jasmine Cornell. Stay with us at 2 p.m. We have more stories for you at on the streaming desk.
Awesome, Jasmine. Thanks so much. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here with us live. We've got so much to get to here at 2 o'clock. I want to get to the latest with the breaking news as a car was found submerged underwater in Lake Lanier. We're going to get to that. First, I'd like to start with the latest in the courtroom as our Rob DiRienzo is following up on what is unfolding with what is sure to be a historic trial. Accused high school shooter Colt Gray, no doubt, will have his day in court soon enough. But Rob, today, his father, Colin Gray, is the one facing a jury. Can you tell us where we stand as of now?
That's right, Ariel. Good afternoon to you. There is certainly a lot of emotion in this community as this trial starts. Earlier today, we saw the prosecution and the defense both give their opening arguments, and then we started hearing from some of the state's witnesses. Those witnesses include law enforcement who responded to Apalachee that day in September of 2024, along with some teachers who interacted with Colt Gray as he was starting his day that day. But I want to take you inside the courtroom. Things just got started a little after 9:30 this morning here at the Barrow County Courthouse. Now, Colin Gray faces 29 felony counts, including cruelty to children, second-degree murder, and manslaughter. Police say Colin Gray's son, Colt, confessed to the shooting that killed 2 students and 2 staff members at Apalachee High School. The prosecution of his dad is based on the argument that he could have stepped in and stopped the shooting, but failed to. The indictment alleges that Gray allowed his son to have access to guns after receiving, quote, sufficient warning he would harm others. That included a visit from police who were tipped off from the FBI about online threats traced back to the teen. Another thing that the prosecutor was sure to emphasize during the opening argument this morning was an apparent shrine the teen had in his bedroom to Parkland, Florida shooter Nicholas Cruz. Take a listen.
Pictures of Nicholas Cruz are still on his wall, and that rifle is still in his room. The defendant leaves to take little Coley to school. Colt gets his rifle, gets extra magazines, puts them in his book bag. He wraps a poster board around the part of the rifle that sticks out of the bag, and he takes a hat with a Fender guitar logo on it, a stocking hat, and puts it over the top so you can't see it. And then he heads out to meet the bus. A few hours later, just like he'd been warning he was going to do, Colt murders 4 people.
Now, the 16-year-old is still awaiting his trial behind bars, but the defense, meanwhile, has already started an argument that essentially the sins of the son shouldn't be traced back to the father. Take a listen to their opening argument.
The evidence will show a teenager who is struggling mentally, a teenager who is deceptive, a teenager who hid his true intentions from everyone, from his family, from his counselor, from his siblings, from DFACS, from law enforcement, and most especially from his father. The evidence will show a father who did not ignore his child. He did not abandon his child. He did not turn his back on his child. The evidence will show between Colin Gray and Colt Gray daily contact, daily effort, and active steps by Colin Gray to seek mental health intervention for his son through the school.
Now, the state has indicated it also wants to call other members of Gray's family to testify, along with psychologists and survivors of the shooting. Now, we were hearing from the jurors a little while ago. This trial, they're all from Hall County, but of course the trial is taking place here in Barrow County, Ariel. Now, we also know they're not being sequestered, but they are being told by the judge to avoid all news media and social media as this trial goes on, and the judge at this point, Ariel, anticipates it to take about 3 weeks. Back to you.
Yeah, Rob, 3 weeks, definitely something I think we can all expect this to take a while as we get a bigger picture as to what actually happened, how this unfolded. I'd love to know, we talk a little bit about how this could be a historic trial with precedent set in terms of, I think you alluded to it, right? You were saying, basically what the defense is saying, should the father be held accountable for the sins of the son, if you will, kind of a reverse on how we normally approach that saying. Can you speak a little bit to the precedent that could be set in terms of whether or not the father would be found guilty in this case? I know this is probably the second time that we've seen a parent of an accused school shooter be held accountable in this situation. So if you could give us a little context on that.
Definitely. It's important to note this is the second case like this nationwide that has garnered national attention. There was another case similar to this in Michigan where a child killed 4 kids in a mass shooting, and then his parents were sentenced to 10 to 15 years behind bars for manslaughter. But the prosecution made it clear in their opening statement this morning that this isn't just about what ended up happening, but what they're asserting is Colin Gray's negligence in preventing it and seeing the signs that were there. They say they wanted to make it clear their case is about what Colin Gray did, not what his son did.
Rob, yeah, I really appreciate that. You know, it's interesting. I actually was working in Ohio when that case unfolded, and the parallels are just so similar. I'd love to know, as kind of a final question to you here, you've covered this pretty extensively. Is there anything you're genuinely wanting to know more about as the reporter on this story, as you watch things unfold in the courtroom? Any questions you have that you hope to get answered in this trial?
Well, of course, as you were saying, Ariel, the big question is how could a father answer for his son's actions? But I think, again, what the prosecution is trying to lay out here is that what they see here is the crime in this case is the father's negligence in missing all of these warning signs, buying this gun for this child, even though the police had already visited his house and pointed to online threats that the son had allegedly made. So, again, it seems like all of the signs here, the case that the prosecution is trying to build is, again, it's not essentially what the son ended up doing, but the signs and the negligence that they claim that the father had in this situation.
Rob, thanks so much for your hard work reporting. No doubt you'll continue to keep us updated, and we'll check in with you. I'll let you get back to gathering information for us. Thanks so much for joining us live today. Guys, as we continue here, we're going to continue to keep you updated on that. I want to get back to some breaking news we've been following here this afternoon, and it involves police discovering a submerged car in Lake Lanier. And as of now, we can confirm from the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office that a body was located inside of that vehicle. You can see it being pulled up out of the water onto the tow truck. At this point, police say next of kin has not been notified, and the case is under investigation by their sheriff's office. So we'll continue to keep you updated as we get any new information. But to give you an idea of where this is, Tidwell Park is the area of Lake Lanier that investigators are looking at. The Hall County Sheriff's dive team did assist with going out to that vehicle and helping to pull it from the water and trying to get more information about who may have been inside the vehicle at that time. We also did see an ambulance on scene. Standard protocol, as we know that they work to understand whether or not someone may have been hurt inside. And one thing to keep in mind as we continue to look at this, this unfolded just roughly 30 minutes ago. We were able to get these live images from Skyfox 5. You're now looking at video from when our helicopter was above this, but we'll continue to keep you updated as we get any new information. This is Tidwell Park near the boat ramp in Forsyth County. And another bit of breaking news that I want to let you know about just into our newsroom is that actor Robert Duvall has died. He is an iconic actor known for so many roles. You might know him best for The Godfather, Apocalypse Now, and a lot of other tough guy roles over his 6-decade acting career. He was 95 years old when he died, according to a Facebook post from his wife, Luciana. The Oscar-winning actor passed away at his home surrounded by loved ones yesterday. She called him a beloved husband, cherished friend, and one of the greatest actors of our time. His career spanned multiple decades, like I mentioned, and earned him an Academy Award for Best Actor in the 1983 film Tender Mercies. So you know, if you know who Robert Duvall is, you know he often played the tough guy, the cowboy, and definitely his family's going to be mourning his loss. So we'll continue to keep you updated if we hear any new information there. But in the meantime, I'd like to move on a little closer to home to some news we're following here in our newsroom. And it actually involves more information about a man who was charged in a shooting close to a dental office here in Metro Atlanta. Our Allie Levine has been working to gather more information on this story. And so I'd like to have her join us live now. Allie, what are you learning about the situation?
Ariel, we're learning a great deal today, really just in the last few hours here. Just to back up, to give you a bit of context, this all started around 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon. Police were called to this location on MLK Drive, which has a dental office sign out in front of it. The building at this point is a sign, but it says Dr. David Mays right here on the outside, dentist. Now, when they arrived, they found one man with a gunshot wound. He was pronounced dead on scene. We now know that individual is 37 years old. We're working to learn more. Charged with murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm and commission of a felony. He showed up in court today. Unfortunately, our crews were not allowed inside, but we're working to learn more about that appearance. We also spoke with business owners who are right across the street here on MLK Drive. This is obviously a very busy street. There's a great deal of businesses, gas stations, salons along this road. One of them just moved into her location in June. Beatrice Wilson owns Bees Nails, and she spoke about how this community really needs to come together. They want this to be a safe area where people can come and support businesses like hers, particularly Black-owned businesses like hers. Let's take a listen to Miss B and her employee, Jasmine.
Like us being a Black-owned business, we're trying to have all our people come, you know, because we don't have too many people feeling like we can come together, you know, and I think that this right here is a good message, so that way people know, you know, we could stick together and do things, you know, elevate together as one.
I just felt it was a very unfortunate event that happened. It's a very nice up-and-coming community. In fact, Mayor Dickens said that he wants to make some improvements in this community.
You heard Miss B there mention Mayor Dickens. She says that he actually was at her grand opening, again, just a few months ago, back in June of 2025. I also want to mention that David Mays, who has been charged in this fatal shooting, we know that he has his sign on this dental office building out here. We did check on his dental license with the Georgia Board of Dentistry. That license was revoked in the 90s. We're trying to get more information about the circumstances of that, but we know that David Mays hasn't been a practicing dentist in about 30 years. Ariel.
Wow, Allie, you know, that was actually a big question I had, right, where we know that the man arrested in this, 73 years old, David Mays, and then the sign for the dental office was Dr. David Mays. So we've confirmed at this point that the guy who's accused in the shooting is the same as the dentist who had this building?
Yes, the name is the same. We know that the address of these buildings and the former dental office is the same, according to that Georgia Board of License. So at this point, we know again that his license was revoked about 30 years ago, and we are trying to gain more information about the circumstances of that. And of course, as soon as we know it, we'll bring it to you on air and online.
Yeah, Allie, a really interesting, unique situation that it was revoked so long ago, according to the records you were able to check. Definitely have more questions there, but really quickly, just for our viewers who are watching us, because in case they missed it, I know you cut out just a little bit at the beginning. So the person, the victim identified in this situation is Monterio Sperling, and 37-year-old man. Final question to you here, Allie. Do you know, or did you hear anything from police about what maybe prompted this shooting, or is that something we're still working to figure out?
We're still working to figure out the exact circumstances. We know that the owner of this building came to the location. There was some kind of altercation with the young man who ended up being fatally shot, but the exact circumstances we're still trying to figure out.
Awesome. Allie, thank you so much for your hard work. We'll check back in with you if you get any new information, but in the meantime, I'll let you get back to gathering some info, so thanks so much for joining us here live. Guys, as we continue, I'd like to move on and let you know where we stand with that FBI raid on Fulton County Elections Facility here in Georgia. So I want to let you know new information that we're getting, because the NAACP has actually just filed a motion as of last night, according to the Associated Associated Press, and they're asking a judge to protect against the misuse of voter data. And as we take a look at this situation, we know that one of the things that they're trying to do here is make sure that the sensitive data, personal information that voters gave to the state of Georgia when they registered to vote remains secure. The January 28th seizure of ballots and other election documents from the FBI Elections Hub, the NAACP says breached that guarantee and infringed constitutional protections of privacy and interfered with the right to vote. So the motion asks the judge to order reasonable limits on the government's use of the seized data and to prohibit the federal government from using this data for purposes other than the criminal investigation cited in the search warrant affidavit. That includes prohibiting any efforts to use it for voter roll maintenance, election administration, or immigration enforcement. So the NAACP is concerned with the misuse of the voter data that was seized, and they want the scope of how the federal government uses it to be narrowed. As we continue, I want to let you know that as of today, early voting has started to fill Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene's vacant House seat. The early voting actually started here for the 14th Congressional District. This is an area here in Northwest Georgia. And again, that would replace Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. Election day will be March 10th with a runoff on April 7th if needed. But at this point, the field is down to almost 20 candidates and 4 others reportedly dropped out. The list includes 3 Democrats, a Libertarian, an Independent, and 13 Republicans, including Clay Fuller, who's been endorsed by President Donald Trump. Election day, again, like I mentioned, March 10th, and a runoff, if necessary, would be held April 7th. Whoever wins is going to fulfill the remainder of Greene's term through next January. And then if that winner wants to run for re-election in the 2026 midterms, they will need to run in the May 19th statewide primary to be able to get that seat. So we'll keep you updated as we get new information, but this 14th Congressional District represents major population centers here in our state, including Rome and Floyd County, Cartersville and Bartow County, Dallas and Paulding County, and Dalton and Whitfield County, as well as some parts of Cobb County. Here, also speaking on the state and federal level, I want to let you know that our senators have been working to secure some funding to improve Georgia's drinking water and the infrastructure that supports it. So, U.S. Senators John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock have introduced new legislation, or rather new federal funding that's going to support Georgia's drinking water infrastructure. The senators said that more than $67 million is going to be delivered through a bipartisan infrastructure law. The money is expected to remove lead pipes, modernize systems, and expand access to safe drinking water here across the state. And this is something that both senators have said they hope will help with public health here in our state and make sure that families have reliable water. As you know, a lot of infrastructure surrounding our state's pipes and water systems is a little bit outdated, so they are hoping that this will help. As we continue, you guys, we have some other news to get to that I want to continue to keep you updated on. I want to let you know where we stand with funding for the Department of Homeland Security as a partial government shutdown is underway. But first, when we come back, we're going to check in with meteorologist Alex Forbes on the latest for your weather forecast. That's on the other side of this. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here with us live on your Monday afternoon. If you've walked outside, it's starting to feel rather spring-like. Alex Forbes is going to let us know how long that's going to stick around, what the rain chances are like for this week. So let's check it out with him.
Clear skies, the name of the game across Metro Atlanta and North Georgia this afternoon as temperatures are in the 60s. What more can you ask for on a February afternoon? It's way above the norm. 58 is where we should be. I'm looking for 67 as a high temperature here within the next couple of hours. 68 tomorrow for Mardi Gras, 70 on Wednesday, 76 on Thursday, 75 on Friday. Are we sure it's February? Now, you know how we get fake fall in September. This is fake spring in February. We will get back to reality by the time we get towards Sunday with a high temperature of 59. That's going to be on the flip side of some rain on the way some point through the weekend. Here's a closer look at this President's Day. 68 in Smyrna, 66 in Lawrenceville today, 67 in Conyers, 69 over in South Fulton, and 67 in Villa Rica. Here you go down on the south side, a little closer to 70 in a handful of spots, and then up on the north side, might even hit 70 in a handful of spots. There's Rome and Cedartown, 68 in Cartersville, 65 in Cornelia, 66 in Clayton, 67 in Blue Ridge, and 67 over in Dalton. Now, through the day today, you're going to be looking at plenty of sunshine, and that's going to allow for clear skies tonight. That means it's going to be cool on Mardi Gras morning with temperatures low to mid 40s, maybe even some 30s up on the north side. And then into the afternoon, yeah, there you go, on the warmer side. Wednesday is when things begin to change a bit. Getting some cloud cover building in with some scattered showers Wednesday afternoon. The rain chance at about 10%. But then we get towards Thursday and Friday. This is the GFS here. You see some widespread showers in here Friday afternoon with the bulk of the rain coming through sometime late Saturday, it looks like. This isn't entirely bad news because this would mean a lot more rainfall, but you look at the European model and it has better timing on it. This is Friday morning. Rush hour won't be fun, trust me, but if we're able to get this through here Friday, say by 3 o'clock, we're going to be smooth sailing into the weekend, and I would vote for that one if I had the opportunity to. But still some uncertainty there, so we're going with a 40% chance of rain both days. 70 beginning Wednesday, 10% chance of rain there. Overnight low temperatures also on the warmer side. Keep in mind our average high is 58. Our low temperature on Friday should be right around 60 before we're cooler into Sunday. Meteorologist Lauren Robinson is going to have an update to this forecast tonight on Fox 5 News at 4, 5, and 6. You can, of course, catch that on Fox 5 and streaming here on Fox Local.
Awesome, Alex. Thanks so much for the update. Definitely going to make the most of the warmer temperatures before the pollen takes over. That is for sure. As we continue, I want to get you guys a check of where we stand with this partial government shutdown, because as of right now, Washington is deadlocked and there appears to be no end in sight. This is again disrupting federal operations, and there's no clear timeline for a resolution. The latest government shutdown centers around the Department of Homeland Security and its funding. This marks the third time in at least the last 6 months that at least part of the federal government has shut down. And Democrats and Republicans, no surprise, are blaming each other for failing to reach a deal to fund the Department of Homeland Security. Democrats are saying that the White House is offering short-term solutions, and the solutions they're offering, frankly, are falling short of any oversight of immigrations and customs enforcement, ICE agency, rather. And so that's something that Democrats say that they want to see change. The White House, on the other hand, says Democrats are being unreasonable in some of their demands and argues that Democrats should be willing to make concessions too. Border Czar Tom Homan says that immigration's operations are continuing despite this partial government shutdown, and that's because ICE is already funded. They received significant funding through the One Big Beautiful Bill and through One Big Beautiful Bill that passed last summer, but it's other federal agencies under the Department of Homeland Security umbrella that are going to face the lack of pay and these disruptions. This includes Transportation Security Administration, FEMA, and the U.S. Coast Guard. About 64,000 TSA agents could be required to work without pay. Employees are expected to receive back pay for work once funding is restored, but no telling how long that's going to be because Congress is gone for a previously scheduled recess, and the shutdown could stretch through the State of the Union address from the president that is set for February 24th. So we'll keep you updated if anything changes. But in the meantime, I want to let you know a little internationally here what's going on, because Secretary of State Marco Rubio sat down with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky over the weekend. Now, Marco Rubio is maintaining that President Trump, wants to end the war with Russia once and for all, but peace talks appear to be at a standstill. The meeting between Ukraine and the United States unfolded at the Munich Security Conference in Germany. Their conversations centered on Ukraine's defense systems, and so far negotiations to end the war have been unsuccessful. Russia is still conducting multiple drone strikes, attacking Ukraine's energy infrastructure, and continuing to kill civilians. Rubio posted on social media that, quote, President Trump wants a solution that ends the bloodshed once and for all. But many critics, including former U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, are condemning the White House, saying that the Trump administration's position towards Ukraine is disgraceful. That's, again, according to former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, saying that the effort to force Ukraine into a surrender deal with Russia is shameful. President Zelensky also spoke with Trump envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner ahead of peace talks in Geneva. Zelensky said he would count on the meetings being truly productive. That's something he wants to see. But meanwhile, this morning, Marco Rubio met with Hungarian President Viktor Orban, or rather Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban. Orban's about to face a tough challenge in his country's April 12th election, and Orban and Rubio signed an agreement for civilian nuclear cooperation between their two countries. Now, I'd like to let you take a listen to how Marco Rubio says President Trump is going to find a way to, quote, provide assistance if Orban faces financial difficulties or any other roadblocks.
President Trump is deeply committed to your success because your success is our success. Because this relationship we have here in Central Europe through you is so essential and vital for our national interests in the years to come. That, if you face financial struggles, if you face things that are impediments to growth, if you face things that threaten the stability of your country, I know that President Trump will be very interested because of your relationship with him and because of this importance to this country, to us, to finding ways to provide assistance if that moment ever were to arise, and obviously with regards to finances and the like. I'm not going to speculate about the future. What happens in this country is up to the voters of this country to determine and decide, and we love the people of Hungary. But there's no reason to sugarcoat it. I'm going to be very blunt with you. The Prime Minister and the President have a very, very close personal relationship and working relationship.
Now, what that close personal relationship looks like and what it would mean if Viktor Orban were to not win Hungary's elections in April remains to be seen. But as always, we'll keep you updated right here on Fox Local as the conditions change and as things progress. We'll keep you updated. Guys, I'm looking ahead here because we're going to go out live to Tucson, Arizona to check in with Asher Red on the latest in the search for Nancy Guthrie. What police are looking into, that's coming up on the other side of this. Welcome back in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for joining us live here. I want to let you know that investigators are awaiting DNA results from a glove they found near Nancy Guthrie's home. And at this point, we're really hoping to get more information in the next 24 hours or so about those DNA results. Of course, investigators are hoping that DNA testing is going to get them closer to a suspect in this case. The Pima County Sheriff's Office believes that someone took Guthrie from her home against her will more than 2 weeks ago. So I'd like to bring in Fox's Asher Red, who's live in Tucson for us. Asher, it's great to see you. What can you tell us about the latest in the investigation? You know, there's so much going on. What are the newest details that are being uncovered at this time?
Well, Ariel, the FBI says that investigators found 16 gloves around Nancy Guthrie's home. 15 of them belonged to investigators and were likely tossed on the ground while they were searching that area. But the FBI says one of these gloves appears to have matched the same glove that the suspect was wearing, who was caught on surveillance camera footage on Guthrie's front door. The Pima County Sheriff's Department sent one of those gloves to a forensics lab in Florida for DNA testing. The FBI says the preliminary results are already in, but they're waiting on confirmation before adding this unknown male DNA profile into its national database called CODIS. Here you can see the suspect approach Guthrie's front door wearing a black glove and a 25-liter Ozark Trail hiker pack likely bought from Walmart. The FBI describes this person as a man between 5'9" and 5'10" with an average build.
Let's hope that this glove comes back with a positive hit in the CODIS system. If not, then they will likely go into the genealogical DNA systems to see if there's a match there, because again, CODIS is only for those that are in the criminal system already.
Meanwhile, Fox News Digital has learned that investigators are using a high-tech Bluetooth scanner on the bottom of a law enforcement helicopter trying to pick up a signal from Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker. That helicopter has been flying in low, slow grid patterns in the area around Nancy's home. Guthrie's daughter, Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, has also released a new video on social media speaking directly to the suspect and pleading with them to do the right thing.
Asher, it's a remarkable situation how many law enforcement are on scene just from a federal, state, and local level, all working to get information. Curious if you've heard any more about any further ransom notes or alleged ransom notes. I know sometimes people can imitate or there can be copycat notes sent to news outlets like TMZ. Have you heard about any more notes that might have been sent?
Well, TMZ says they've received a fourth email from someone claiming they know who took Nancy Guthrie. That email, said they were demanding even more money, tens of thousands of dollars, in exchange for some of that information. Meanwhile, the FBI, however, is offering $100,000 for any information leading to Nancy's whereabouts or an arrest and conviction of whoever's responsible for it.
Asher, thanks so much for letting us know where we stand on all this. I appreciate your time this afternoon. We'll see you back here at 3. If there's any new information, we'll chat about it. But in the meantime, thanks for giving us a status update and letting us know where things stand. Asher Red's reporting for us out in Tucson, you guys. And as we continue here at 2 o'clock, I want to move internationally and let you know about a story that we've been following here, because it's truly remarkable getting this information now from an international stage. We're talking about what killed Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny. Now, if you're unfamiliar with him, you know he really rose up as an opposition figure against Russian President Vladimir Putin. But there was a controversial death because he died in prison, in a Russian prison, back in 2024. And a lot of people at the time speculated he did not die of natural causes. A new statement by the European NATO countries concludes it was actually a type of frog poison that the Russian government used to murder Navalny. European leaders are unequivocal in this, in their accusation. They say the Russian government murdered Alexei Navalny, and this rejects Russian claims that Navalny died of natural causes. In a joint statement, the UK, Sweden, France, Germany, and the Netherlands say, based on samples from Navalny, they are confident he was poisoned with a lethal toxin called ibuprofen. It's a poison found in dart frogs in South America, but it can actually be produced synthetically as well. Symptoms would include hypertension, seizure, and muscle paralysis, which can ultimately lead to respiratory failure and death. EU leaders are saying, given the toxicity of this and the reported symptoms, poisoning was highly likely the cause of his death. Navalny died while being held in prison, meaning Russia had the means, motive, and opportunity to administer this poison to him. Many, of course, speculate that Russia wanted to silence Navalny because he was critical of their regime. In February 2024, Russia claimed Navalny got sick and lost consciousness while taking a walk in a harsh Arctic prison where he had been serving a 19-year sentence. You may have heard about Navalny, too, when this was unfolding because he had vowed to go on a hunger strike while in the Russian prison to protest his treatment and, of course, what he felt was the lack of democracy in Russia and the fact that his safety was called into question. Per Russian state media, the Kremlin rejected the EU accusations that have come out. They've said this is propaganda. Russia has long been accused of using poison against those who oppose the Kremlin. And today, Secretary of State Marco Rubio reacted to this report from the EU, saying that it is a troubling report. They're aware of this case involving Navalny. He said they don't have any reason to question this report, but they're not disputing it or getting into a fight with the EU or Russia over the allegations. EU leaders also say in their statement that they are concerned Russia did not destroy all of its chemical weapons and will use whatever policy levers they have at their disposal to try to hold Russia accountable. A little closer to home here as we continue, I want to let you know that the jury is debating what the outcome will be in the Tara Baker murder trial. We know that the jury got the case and started to deliberate around noon today. And this is something that's been unfolding because on trial is Edric Faust. He's accused of killing Tara Baker back in 2001. She was a UGA law student. And this is something that we've watched unfold in an Athens Clark County courtroom. It was a 10-day trial and really focused on this cold case murder of Tara Baker. Prosecutors relied on a 2024 DNA match to link Edric Faust to the crime. The defense, however, argues the investigation was botched and the evidence compromised. The defense continued to point towards the victim's former boyfriend, Chris Melton, despite testimony from the state that backed his alibi. But of course, we're going to continue to keep you updated. Our Tyler Fingert's going to join us at 3 and break down where we stand in this case. But as of now, the jury does continue to deliberate the fate of Edric Faust. As we continue, I want to let you know as well that the measles are on the rise. And here's why you should be concerned. This outbreak continues in South Carolina and has started to spread regionally and across the United States. So cases are now climbing not just here in the Southeast, but really across the country, less than 2 months into the new year. And as vaccination rates decline, experts are stressing that this is still the best way to protect yourself and those around you. Public health experts are actually calling for more vaccinations against measles. Dr. Amy Edwards, a pediatric infectious disease specialist at Case Western Reserve University, says fewer and fewer kids are getting all of their vaccines, and that includes the MMR vaccine. Measles, mumps, and rubella is what that stands for. According to the CDC, there have been 910 confirmed cases of the measles as of February 12th, with 5 new outbreaks this year. And the main difference in this new variant of measles is that the CDC does say it does appear to be more contagious than in some other states. This is a respiratory virus, and it's spread via air droplets when someone's coughing, sneezing, or talking. General symptoms include a fever or runny nose, and these outbreaks threaten the United States measles elimination status. So, we had gotten to a point where measles was eradicated, but with these outbreaks, that's not really the case. Public health experts say the best and most efficient way to combat the spread is by getting the MMR shot. In South Carolina, hundreds of cases have been reported, and emergency rooms are already full with infants and small children. So one thing the health department is doing there in South Carolina is hosting these free pop-up clinics for vaccinations and checkups. The CDC recommends that children receive 2 doses of the MMR vaccine, the first dose between 12 months and 15 months of age, and the second at 4 through 6 years old. Finally here, you guys, I want to let you know as we continue what is open and closed today, because if you're hanging out with us here at 2 o'clock, maybe you're not at work because it is a federal holiday. If you're at home, Wonderful. Good for you. If you're working and still watching with us, great to have you. But I want to give you a rundown because there are some things that are going to be closed today. So if you were thinking about going to a federal government office, the U.S. Postal Service, you're not going to be able to do that. Many public schools and universities are also closed today because some might be, but many choose to be closed on President's Day. It really depends on their administration. U.S. stock and bond markets are not going to conduct trading or business today. Banks and, of course, their branches will also be closed. And USPS pickup and delivery, though, is still operating and its stores are open, but USPS postal stores are going to be closed and mail will not be delivered. FedEx is available, but some international express freight services may operate on modified schedules for today. National grocery stores, restaurants, and big retail chains are all likely going to still be open, so that is good news if you do need to go out there, but just keep in mind, check before you leave because things might be closed. As we continue, you guys, I want to let you know about a local effort to beautify the city of Atlanta. Some volunteers are spending their federal holiday volunteering and making sure they're able to clean up invasive species here in Georgia. When we think of invasive species, we're thinking about things that really just can wreak havoc on a local environment and our ecosystem. So we're going to check in with our Chris Rosenthal coming up here in just a little bit on what these volunteers are up to. Welcome back in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstad. Thanks so much for being here. If you've got questions on any of the stories we're covering, drop them in our YouTube or TikTok chats. I'll try to get to them as I see them come in. In the meantime here, I want to tell you about some work that some volunteers are doing with the Georgia Native Plant Society to be able to protect native plants and weed out those invasive species. Our Chris Rosenthal is out taking a look at this effort. So, Chris, thanks so much for joining us live. Big question for you. Why are invasive species such a problem? Why is this something they're trying to tackle today?
Absolutely. That's a really great question, and I'll get to that in a minute. But, first of all, I'm at Mary Scott Nature Park here in DeKalb County. A team of volunteers, about 10 people, about a dozen people or so, just finished up cleaning up this area. It's actually, today is a weed wrangle day, they call it, across the southeast in multiple states. Volunteers are going out cleaning up a lot of parks and a lot of areas. So this is just one of those areas they've been working at here in Georgia. This is this is a spot where they really were concentrating on. There's a lot of they call invasive species that aren't supposed to be here, that aren't native to the area. Species like privet and some other plants that shouldn't be here, and they really suck a lot of the life out for the species that should be here, and not just of plants, but this actually was an area they say is actually a really good area. This is an area where they've been working a lot to really clean out a lot of ivies and things that shouldn't be here. And I talked a little earlier today with Susie Nixich. She is with the Georgia Natural Plant Society, and just about what they're doing out here, why this is so important. And why is that important?
Well, native plants, usually non-native plants, invasive ones usually spread all through the parks, and it blocks any growth for all our native plants. Once we remove them, we'll see things like elderberry, American holly, Christmas ferns start coming up, where they've been in the seed bank for God knows how many years, but things like ivy or Chinese privet or Japanese privet just block all the sun and don't let anything native grow.
And this area right here, I mean, just tell me about this. This is a perfect example, huh?
Yeah, this is a pretty good example. We do have some natives in here. We've got some native blackberry that's going crazy, but we also have, this is a cherry laurel that is really invasive. I mean, it is a very aggressive. You can see there's 3 of them right there. And when it berries, you'll see these blackberries all over the trees. A good wind. It's growing. I mean, I pulled thousands of them out.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of stuff we're trying to get rid of here, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely. We have to get rid of this stuff. We also have native blackberries, but we also have a non-native one. It's just hard to tell which one is which right now because there's no leaves on it. But the good thing, rule of thumb, is if it's evergreen, chances are it's not native, and you can always tell in the wintertime, right? Yeah. So we've got some privet down there, and that privet's, well, maybe see that green coming out of there with the tiny leaf? That's a privet. That they're pulling out more cherry laurel.
And this stuff, I mean, this comes right in here off the highway, huh? And it spreads into the parks and other areas and comes from residential areas.
Yeah, birds drop it, right? We'll drop the seeds. It comes in tons of different ways. Sometimes people even come and plant stuff like this in parks.
This is what we want to see, this kind of area, huh? This is what we're trying to protect, right?
Yes, definitely. We want to see one of my favorite plants is the American holly. There's more American hollies here than I've seen anywhere in Atlanta. We want to see, non-natives block even the growth of all the beech trees, and look how beautiful the beaches look in the wintertime. They're the best plants. I just love them.
So when you get rid of the invasive stuff, the native stuff grows, huh?
Yeah, it starts coming up. Here's an invasive plant right here. This is the Chinese holly, okay? And look at the difference between the American holly. This is what you want. We take these out, but you see these, you can buy these in stores. You can't buy those in stores.
Yeah, that was Susie Nixich of the Georgia Native Plant Society. Yeah, this is, it seemed like everywhere she turned, she was finding something that shouldn't be here. Even the monkey grass, she says that's native. But there is something else that this, by the way, is one of those hollies, but there are some other things you can plant in place of say, monkey grass. These called a sedge, which is this thing right here. Looks very similar. This is native, this is good. Monkey grass, she said, not good. So, yeah, I mean, I got a really big education being out here today, and it even has an impact on the wildlife. Some of this stuff in the ivy can really make it hard for hunting birds to see their prey. So it really, it's an ecosystem. It's all connected, and it starts even with these plants here.
Chris, this has been fascinating, and I know for our plant lovers who are rocking along with us here, we all can recognize that I feel like kudzu and some other plants as being invasive just because they overtake everything. But it was interesting to hear her say that if it tends to be evergreen, that's really not a native plant like monkey grass, some of those other things. I did not even know that. We've got Tyler here in our TikTok chat, Chris, who's asking if there are any invasive plants that tend to be native. I realize that Susie's moved on from us. Not sure if she talked about that, but you and I can discuss it. I feel like she mentioned if it's evergreen, that typically means it's just not, it's more invasive.
Typically, yeah. She said typically there are some that are okay, but most of the evergreens, yeah. She said most of those are invasive and you know, can be a problem. You know, she admits she's even had some of these things in her own yard, but if you keep it, you know, keep it to a minimum, maybe okay.
Yeah.
But you know, this stuff spreads. Birds pick up the pollen and they pick up the seeds, and that's how it ends up in beautiful parks like this and other areas, and it really can travel very far. So.
And interesting point too, just about how like birds, you know, because it's evergreen and really dense, maybe birds of prey aren't able to see prey on the ground, and so that can affect them being able to get food. It's little things that you just wouldn't think of in the ripple effect of the ecosystem. So really interesting to see. Good to know that we should keep these things to a minimum. I think to Tyler's question, you know, maybe there's some invasive species that we like to have around, like monkey grass, and we like to have it. But at the end of the day, making sure it doesn't get out of hand is the key.
Yeah, and finding replacements for those.
Yeah. Okay, Chris, I appreciate you. We'll see you, of course, back here at 3 o'clock with more on this effort today. But Chris Rosenthal, thanks so much for joining us. As we continue, guys, I want to continue to keep you updated on some local headlines. So if you're just joining us, I want to let you know about a few stories that Atlanta police are working at this point, because one involves a teenager here in Atlanta who is accused of shooting a family member's boyfriend. Let's get into this because you're taking a look at a 17-year-old. And at this point, Atlanta police say he shot a family member's boyfriend in the chest after a dispute Saturday evening. They responded to this home in the 200 block of Peyton Place Southwest around 6:15 in the evening, and that's where they found the victim and rushed him to Grady Memorial Hospital. But the man you see on your screen is Kez Crenshaw, and officers arrested him at the scene. They believe the victim is the boyfriend of one of Crenshaw's family members. Allegedly, police say the victim showed up at the location demanding to speak with his girlfriend, who said she did not see or speak to him. The victim refused to leave despite his girlfriend's objection, and that's when he was shot by Crenshaw. So we'll continue to keep you updated as this unfolds. I also want to let you know about another story you likely heard about on social media here in Atlanta, because this involves a man who was shot while allegedly pretending to impersonate a police officer. He's now facing charges. So talk about a situation going from bad to worse. 22 years old, police say that this man's accused of trying to kick down a door at an Atlanta apartment while impersonating a police officer. Jaron Jordan's the man you see here on your screen, and he's charged with impersonating a police officer, loitering and prowling, and criminal trespass with damage to property. Atlanta police responded to an apartment complex in the 1200 block of James Jackson Parkway Northwest just before 10:30 on Friday night for reports of a person shot. When they arrived, they found that Jordan was suffering from gunshot wounds, but he was alert, conscious, and breathing. He was rushed to the hospital before ultimately being charged. But the victim told police Jordan attempted to kick in their door several times while claiming to be an officer. The victim then shot through the door, hitting Jordan. It's unclear whether Jordan knew the victim. As we get any new updates, we'll be sure to let you know right here on Fox Local. But in the meantime, you guys, coming up here at 3 o'clock, I'll be hanging with you and letting you know what to expect for the news of the day. I want to get back out onto a developing story we're following on Lake Lanier. A car was found submerged in the water. I'd like to let you know the latest information on that, as well as what we are seeing unfold in a courtroom as jurors begin to hear opening arguments in the case against Colin Gray, father of the accused Apalachee High School shooter. So we're going to continue here coming up at 3 o'clock. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here live with us at 3 o'clock. It's a pleasure to see you. I want to get to a developing story we continue to follow right now, and it involves a car that was found submerged in Lake Lanier and discovery of a body inside of that car. At this point, police have removed that vehicle from Lake Lanier. You can see that red car being pulled up onto the bed of a tow truck. But deputies and a dive team were seen near Tidwell Park there in Forsyth County. This is on a boat ramp, as you can see, near Lake Lanier. There's no word yet on who the person inside of that car is. We're waiting official confirmation from police as to their identity, and as of right now, or last check, we know that Forsyth County Sheriff's Office was working to notify that person's next of kin and their family. We flew over the scene with Skyfox 5 and captured deputies and a dive team working to remove that vehicle from the water. We also saw an ambulance on scene as well. And we don't know how this vehicle ended up in Lake Lanier, but at this point, the Sheriff's Office has told us they do not believe foul play is suspected. We'll let you know if that changes. I also want to let you know of a developing story that we continue to follow because it involves historic actor Robert Duvall, who is dead at 95 years old, and really his family and Hollywood and those who knew this film icon are mourning his loss. You probably knew him as the tough type, the cowboy type. He was in The Godfather and many other iconic films like Apocalypse Now. I knew him from Secondhand Lions, a family-friendly movie that I watched growing up with my family. Just someone whose career spanned decades, 6 to 7 to be exact. And at this point, we also know that he earned an Academy Award for Best Actor in the 1983 film Tender Mercies. So truly a very accomplished actor. And according to a Facebook post from his wife, Luciana, he passed away at his home surrounded by loved ones yesterday. His wife, Luciana, called him a beloved husband, cherished friend, and one of the greatest actors of our time. He's best known for his roles in The Godfather and Apocalypse Now, like I mentioned, and he was 95 years old but died peacefully at his home in Middleburg, Virginia. So tragic situation there, but at the end of the day, he did go peacefully with his family. So we'll keep you updated if there's any new details to let you know about. But in the meantime, as we continue, I want to bring you back a little closer here to home as we continue to follow the latest in the Tara Baker murder trial. And at this point, we know, Tyler Fingert following this case for us, that the jury is deliberating the fate of Edric Faust. What is the latest information, Tyler?
So you can see on the side of your screen right now, Ariel, and all of the people joining us here on Fox 5 News Live at 3 o'clock. So you may be asking, if the jury is deliberating, why are there so many people in the courtroom? Why do they look like they're all listening something? That's because they are. Just about an hour ago, the jury came into the courtroom with a question. They wanted to be able to ask and hear some more information again. They wanted to review the DNA reports and a transcript of one of the investigators on the case who testified during the 10-day trial. And so they're hearing from that investigator right now in his own words as was recorded during this trial. And so that's unfolding right now. Obviously, that testimony was a lengthy testimony when he appeared just a couple of days ago. And so what we do know is this update that's going on right now as the jurors continue their deliberation process. They started about 12:30 this afternoon, and it comes after both the prosecution and defense concluded their closing statements and arguments late Friday afternoon. Edric Faust, faces 12 charges, including malice murder, felony murder, rape, aggravated sodomy, and arson. And he is accused of killing University of Georgia law student Tara Baker in 2001. And during that 10-day trial, prosecutors relied on that DNA that they're now trying to review to support their claim that Faust murdered Baker. During closing arguments, the state highlighted that advancements in forensic science provided the definitive link investigators had sought since 2001. Prosecutors emphasized that DNA evidence collected during the initial investigation finally identified Faust, a man who lived in the same neighborhood but who was not captured for more than 2 decades. During the trial, the defense has pushed an alternative theory. The defense focused on what it described as a lack of physical evidence linking Faust to the crime scene, raising doubts about the integrity of the decades-old investigation. Defense attorneys pointed out that there were no fingerprints, footprints, or eyewitnesses, placing Faust inside the apartment on the night of the incident. Faust's attorney also questioned the reliability of the DNA samples, suggesting they had been compromised over more than 20 years in storage. The defense also maintained the evidence pointed more strongly towards someone who knew the victim, specifically referencing her boyfriend at the time, Chris Melton, whose biological evidence was found at the scene. And so obviously they are reviewing all of this stuff, and they're now trying to decide if they believe that Edric Faust is guilty. That's obviously what the jury's job is to do. And just within the last little bit, they are now trying to review that evidence in court. They have to be able to play back some of the testimony. But I do want to play a clip, one little soundbite from each side during Friday's closing arguments. Let's take a listen.
How does evidence that he stayed close to Ms. Baker's home prove that he murdered her? Because that's the jump the state wants you to make. They want you to hear, oh, he stayed close and his DNA was in there, so that means he murdered her, he raped her. He did these horrific acts. We can't prove he's in the house, and remember, no house, no Faust. We cannot prove he's in the house. But we want you to look at all this other stuff.
He was given an opportunity to explain his DNA in his interview, and what he told police, what he told the GBI is just take me to jail.
And so at this hour, the deliberations are continuing in the Athens Clark County courtroom. We are monitoring the feed. I'm looking off to the side of my screen right here. We do still have that clip. Actually, it's on our right side of our box right now. And so you can actually just see they're just replaying this testimony that happened over the last 2-week trial, because that is exactly what jurors were looking for in this case. They're entitled to go back through evidence and testimony. There's just certain things they're not allowed to go through, but this is obviously something that they are allowed to get another crack at. They have all the evidence that they need, like all the exhibits inside the actual jury deliberation room. But for things like this, they have to do it in open court.
Tyler, it's really interesting because I think when jurors ask questions in a case, it can kind of give you an indication as to where their mind is headed or what kind of questions they have. So I can only imagine, you know, the defense, the prosecution sitting there taking a look at what the jury wants to hear again, and the conclusions they might be drawing from that. It's going to be interesting. You know, I've heard it said before that for every day of jury trial, it's roughly an hour of deliberation for the jury. And of course, that changes based on the complexity of the case and different things going on. But this was a 10-day trial, so interesting to see how long it's going to take the jury to come to a decision like this.
And they heard a lot of evidence over that time period. They heard from a number of witnesses, from investigators who were part of the Athens Clark County Police Department in 2001 when this initial crime happened, and obviously also the GBI agents who took over the case in 2024 when they got that money, the extra money, to be able to redo some of the DNA that evidence that they had gathered during 2001. And so the fact that they are now focusing, and that question specifically on the DNA reports and obviously the transcript and the investigator who helped collect some of this DNA evidence and things like that, that is a good sign that they're focusing on the DNA, which is really the big part of this case, because that is what the prosecution is saying. They have the definitive link that Faust, who did not know Tara Baker, was there. Obviously, you have the defense saying, well, you have no fingerprints, footprints, things like that, no one linking him to the actual building. But obviously, if you found his DNA, allegedly, according to investigators, on Tara Baker's body, inside Tara Baker's body, that is their proof that they say he did commit this crime. The defense, though, obviously countering that, saying, well, there's no evidence found in that he was in the apartment at any point. So obviously we're gonna have to wait and see how this all unfolds, but it's really gonna be interesting to see how long the jury takes. They started at 12:38 was what we heard from our pool photographer who was inside the courtroom this morning.
12:38 today.
12:38 this afternoon, and so they came at about 2 o'clock, I believe, to ask this question. They've been listening ever since, and they are clearly still in the courtroom listening to that testimony. I don't remember how long this exact testimony was, but we could be looking at another hour or so, because some of these investigators did testify for quite a long time.
Yes, and especially depending if they have more questions as things progress. Going to be interesting to see. But Tyler, thank you as always for breaking this down for us, letting us know where the case stands. If anything else major breaks, I'm sure we'll be checking in with you to cover it today. So Tyler, thank you. Appreciate you. Guys, as we continue here, I want to let you know about something that the city of Marietta is facing. This is actually pretty crazy because the city of Marietta has been hit by a nationwide ransomware attack. And this is actually, you know, we heard a lot about how different municipalities have kind of faced this and dealt with this over the past few years or so. But as a result, the city of Marietta says it can't process certain online credit card payments after this nationwide ransomware attack. City leaders say they're working to implement a secure alternative payment solution. But ultimately, that attack actually started February 6th. So really been going on since the beginning of the month. And the specific ransomware group has not been publicly identified. But as of now, Marietta officials say the city cannot process certain online credit card payments. And it's basically blocking a third-party payment processing vendor called Bridge Pay Network Solutions. So no word on what or how much this ransomware group is asking in exchange for access. But it's the business license department that's being affected there in Marietta. And we'll keep you updated as things progress. But if you do have a payment to be made to the city of Marietta, you can still make those in person, according to leaders there within the city. I want to move on here and take a look at a state level to something that's happening because lawmakers are debating a new bill that would restrict access to body cameras. And our Deidre Dukes joins us live from the state capitol to update us on this. Deidre, so lovely to see you. I'd love to understand, why are lawmakers taking a look at restricting access? I understand it deals with body-worn cameras involved in deadly cases. What's some of the reasoning?
Yeah, well, as you know, Ariel, we live in a world right now where video quickly can go viral. You can see a piece of video posted online and it can reach millions of people within seconds. And that's great when it's something fun, something that makes us laugh or smile. But oftentimes it really can expose tragedies and really expose us to a lot of violence as well. And so there's concern by one lawmaker. His name is Republican State Representative Joseph Gullett. He is sponsoring a bill that would restrict the public access to police dash cam video and police body cam video when it involves some sort of a fatality, when it has captured someone's death. And he wants to do that because he is concerned that you have people out there who request access to this video, who try to get this video through the Public Records Act, try to do that because they want to profit off of this video. And so he's trying to put a stop to that. So we talked to him about what his thinking was, his reasoning behind that, and here's what he had to say.
There's usually a rolling open records request for most police departments in the state of Georgia looking for anyone, any body cam footage of someone being harmed significantly or being murdered and or dying. And so there's just kind of a freak factor out there. This is happening. That's what we're trying to control. It may get amended if there's a gap, that I haven't seen. That's what the committee process is for, legislative process. But that's not our intention. Our intention is just to make sure that people have to continue their death, and it's just not becoming online viral content driving dollars.
And so he feels that those that he believes are profiting off of this are taking advantage, abusing the open records law. And so he's really trying to put a stop to that. At the same time, he says there would still be access given to families, of course, to the media. It would be people who want to use it in civil court proceedings would have access, as well as it could be reviewed as part of official investigations. But there's already been some pushback by critics who are concerned that it might prevent what we've seen, where we see these videos go viral and there's been some sort of misconduct either by a citizen or by a police officer, that if not for this video would not have been exposed. And so there's concern by some representatives on the other side who say, wait, hold up a minute. We really want to be sure that if we do pass something like this, that there are safeguards in place to make sure that proper investigations can take place and that this video people who really want to see this video because they feel perhaps that an injustice has been done, that they do have access to it. And we talked to one of those representatives, Democratic Representative Eric Bell, and this is what he told us.
I think public outcry is a huge factor in some of these investigations. If there was never any civil unrest, if there was never a letter written, if there was never a phone call made or a protest or a demonstration organized, many of these families would never see justice. If the tapes were never released, we would have never known that even they were victims of brutality or victims of state corporal violence. So bills like these will actually be more dangerous to the public, and I think will cause more harm.
So, Ariel, as you can see, really strong arguments on both sides as to when should this video be released and who should have access to it. Concerns over it getting into the wrong people's hands, and God forbid you have a situation where some poor family, for eternity has this out there, because as you know, once that video is out there, it's pretty much impossible to pull it back. And so the representative who's sponsoring this legislation says that really is his goal, is to give dignity to people who are involved in some of these situations after they pass.
Deidre, you've really summed up both sides so well, because a lot of questions I'm thinking in my head as you're explaining, you're also able to answer with what both sides are saying. So I really appreciate that. It's interesting because, like you mentioned, you can see the worst moments of someone's life go viral on TikTok, Instagram, any kind of social platform. And you really, if there's no greater purpose of education and it's for the clicks, I can understand why this legislation exists. I also understand, the concerns that people may have in terms of what happens if they need access because of misconduct or other allegations. So I'm curious, as you've looked at this bill and you've kind of talked to both sides, do you feel like it has the support needed to pass? Is there a consensus yet? What are some of your inside takes based on covering legislature?
Yeah, it's very early in, but the representative who's sponsoring the legislation says that he has bipartisan support. So just out the gate, from what he's telling us, you do have lawmakers on both sides of the aisle who feel like this could possibly be some good legislation that's been introduced. At the same time, this will make its way through the various committees, hopefully making it out of committee, this representative hopes, so that it would make it onto the House floor to be debated and hopefully pass. And throughout the whole process, we could see this bill reworked, concerns raised and addressed in the, perhaps reframing or crafting of this bill, things taken out, put in. So we're at the point now where there are several things that could happen, and if this bill were to make it to the floor, this might not be the final version before we were to see the debate on the floor in regards to the legislation.
Yeah, really good point. Lots of checks to go through that could ultimately change what the final version may look like. I definitely will be concerned, or curious rather, just to see, as I'm sure a lot of people are, what the exceptions in this bill would look like, just in terms of what would be the exceptions to the rule in terms of video not being released. No doubt you'll continue to keep us updated on it, and as lawmakers debate this, I know you'll be sure to get us some answers. So Deidre, I'll let you get back to information gathering. I appreciate your time as always. Thank you so much for the conversation this afternoon. Guys, we're going to move on and let Deidre get back to it. I want to continue to keep you guys updated on the latest that is unfolding in the courtroom regarding the trial for Colin Gray. He is the father of accused Apalachee High School shooter Colt Gray. And this is really a historic trial because it takes a look at whether or not a parent should be held accountable for the actions of their children. How far is too far in terms of a parent not acting or taking steps to act in terms of what their child does or does not do. This is something that we're questioning with a trial like this. And as we begin to see, the trial started just this morning. The jury is seated, and this is unfolding as Basically, we're going to be seeing a lot of different video and hearing from different witnesses on that day back in September of 2024, September 4th, 2024, when that mass shooting unfolded in Apalachee High School. At 11:30 this morning, we know that the defense counsel was able to give their opening statement, and before then, of course, we were also hearing from the prosecution. So I'd like to let you listen to about 5 minutes from each side. I want to be fair here. So we're going to listen to 5 minutes from Brad Smith, District Attorney for Barrow County, and then we're going to listen to 5 minutes from Brian Hobbs, who's the defense attorney for Colin Gray in this case. So 5 minutes from each, and then we're going to come back.
Before we start, one thing needs to be abundantly clear. This is not a case about holding parents accountable for what their children do. That's not what this case is about. This case is about this defendant and his actions. His actions in allowing a child that he has custody over access to a firearm and ammunition after being warned that that child was going to harm others. This is a case about his actions and the horrific consequences of them. I'm going to take you now to September 4th, 2024. It was a Wednesday morning. It was just after the Labor Day holiday. A 14-year-old boy enters Apalachee High School here in Barrow County. It's a new school for him. In fact, he had been out of school completely the entire previous year. And while the school year was already a month old, this was only his 5th day attending school. As he walked through the crowded hallways, he carried his book bag in front of him. And hidden inside that book bag was a 6-hour M400 AR-style rifle. This 14-year-old boy has an evil plan. He goes to his first period class, located here. It's a computer science class. He sits down at the table, and he puts his book bag with the rifle next to him. At some point during the class, he gets up and approaches the teacher, and he asks her, "Y'all had any active shooter drills?" She says, "Yeah, actually, we had one last week. You were absent." He goes back and sits down. The teacher ponders on this a bit. It's an odd question to ask. She doesn't know this boy very well. He's only been there 5 times. So she emails the school counselor, and she courtesy copies her direct supervisor, the vice principal, about the question the boy had asked. At the end of class, at 9:38, this boy picks up his book bag with the rifle in it, carries it in front of him out of the class, heading to his second period class. But that first period teacher stewed on it a little more, and between the class breaks, she decided, I'm going to go up to the office and find the vice principal and talk to her. But at this very moment, that 14-year-old boy is entering his second period class. It's 9:40 a.m. He takes a seat, and he puts that book bag with the rifle in it next to him. 14 minutes later, at 9:54 a.m., that boy gets up, grabs his book bag, and he tells the teacher, I'm going to go to the counseling office, which is located down here. He leaves the class, but he doesn't go down to the counseling office. He goes down what's called J Hall, and he enters the boys' bathroom here. He goes into a stall, locks the stall, and he hides there for the next 26 minutes. Now, 4 minutes before he left second period, at 9:50 a.m., the boy's mother calls the school counselor, who's in this suite here. Now, the boy's mother doesn't live here in Winder. She's down in Fitzgerald, Georgia. which is in South Georgia. It's a 4.5-hour drive from here. But the boy that morning has sent some text messages that bother her. And he's now not answering his phone when they call or try and get a reply. She's worried about his emotional well-being. Now, the counselor had actually met this boy the week before. He had a panic attack at school, went to her office, and was too upset to go back to class. So the counselor and the mother talk on the phone for 8.5 minutes about this boy's emotional well-being. And at the very end of that call, at the end of the 8.5 minutes, for the first time, that mother mentions to the counselor that this boy has access to firearms.
Before we talk about the law, we have to begin with what every person in this courtroom already knows. What happened at Apalachee High School was tragic. It was horrific, it was terrifying, and it was heartbreaking. Nothing said in this courtroom can change that. Nothing that I'm going to say is meant to diminish that. You're going to hear emotional testimony, you'll see photographs, you'll see videos, you'll hear about the fear, the chaos, and the terror that Colt Gray inflicted on that school and this community. But your job is not to decide whether or not that was tragic. We all know that it was. Your job is to decide something much more specific. Your job is to decide whether or not Colin Gray knew what Colt was going to do. Because the state is not just prosecuting the shooter in this case, they're prosecuting the father as well. I want you to remember something as we begin. The courtroom is not a place where we punish people because we're angry, where we punish people because we're grieving. It's not a place where we punish people because we feel someone has to pay. This is a place where we follow the law. And the law requires proof, and the law requires evidence. And the law requires that the state prove its case beyond a reasonable doubt. That burden never shifts, not for a single moment. The state's theory will be simple. They'll tell you that Colt Gray allowed his son access to firearms and ammunition. Colin Gray had warning signs, and then Colin Gray, knowing that these were warning signs, consciously disregarded those warning signs. That he should have known his son would, not could, that his son would harm someone. And because the son later committed this school shooting, therefore Colin Gray must be guilty, must be criminally negligent, because he knew this would happen. That's their theory. But what you'll learn from the evidence is that case is not that simple. The evidence will show a teenager who is struggling mentally, a teenager who was deceptive, a teenager who hid his true intentions from everyone, from his family, from his counselor, from his siblings, from DFACS, from law enforcement, and most especially from his father. The evidence will show a father who did not ignore his child. He did not abandon his child. He did not turn his back on his child. The evidence will show between Colin Gray and Colt Gray daily contact, daily effort, and active steps by Colin Gray to seek mental health intervention for his son through the school. The evidence will show that the most important facts, the planning of this shooting, the concealment of this shooting, and the timeline of this shooting were hidden by Colt Gray from his father. That's the difference between tragedy and criminal liability. And this case is about whether the state can prove criminal liability by showing that Colin Gray knew that Colt was going to do this, knew that Colt was going to harm someone else. You cannot hold someone criminally responsible for failing to predict what was intentionally hidden from them. You'll learn about Colt Gray's state of mind that at the time no one knew. You will learn that months before the shooting, Colt had notes hidden on his cell phone. from April of 2024. Private notes that appear to be the planning stages of this shooting. Those notes were not known to Colin Gray. Those notes were not shared with Colin Gray. There's no evidence of that. You will learn something else. The plans reflected in those notes show that the shooting was initially planned for February of 2025 to coincide with the anniversary of the Parkland High School shooting committed by Nicholas Cruz. The plan reflected in those notes was that that time was going to be when the shooting happened, not in September of 2024. Something changed. The evidence will suggest and support that Colt accelerated his plan. And there's evidence suggesting that that acceleration was tied to the fact that Colin Gray was actively seeking mental health treatment for his son through the school at that time.
You're listening in as the defense attorney just gave his opening argument in front of the jury, or opening statement rather. Now, I wanted to let you hear 5 minutes from both the state and from the defense, so that way you could hear a fair summation from both parties as to the nature of this case. We're taking a live look. You can see here on the left side of your screen where a teacher, I understand, is testifying in the trial. One of the first few witnesses that the Barrow County prosecutor has called, the district attorney has called to the stand. If we have a little bit of time as things progress here, I'd like to dip back in and maybe we'll be able to listen to this live. As always, I'm taking a look through your questions here on TikTok or YouTube if you guys have questions. I know many of you join us from all over. So again, this case is unfolding regarding a shooting at Apalachee High School in Barrow County. The trial, however, taking place at nearby Hall County as to try to get a fair and impartial jury. Guys, as we continue here, I want to take you out to Tucson, Arizona, where we are going to be following the latest in the search for Nancy Guthrie. That is coming up next. And as things continue, I'll continue to keep you updated on the latest in Barrow County. Let us know in the comments what you're interested in. If you want us to go back to that live, I'll try to make sure we might have some time to do so. That's coming up. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being live here with us on your Monday afternoon. I want to get to the latest as to what's unfolding in Tucson, Arizona, as we continue to try to get new information regarding the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. We know that investigators continue to try to get more from DNA evidence from a glove that was found near her home. And Fox's Asher Red joins us live now. Asher, it's great to see you. Update us on where we stand with the latest in this investigation. What's the newest piece of information investigators might be waiting for?
Well, Ariel, the FBI says investigators found 16 gloves around Nancy Guthrie's home. 15 of them belonged to investigators that were likely tossed on the ground while they were searching that area. But the FBI says one of these gloves appears to be very similar to the glove worn by the suspect who was caught on surveillance camera footage on Guthrie's front porch the night that she went missing. The Pima County Sheriff's Department sent one of those gloves off to a forensics lab in Florida for DNA testing. The FBI says the preliminary results are in, but they're waiting for confirmation before adding this unknown male DNA profile into its national database called CODIS. Here, you can see the suspect approach Guthrie's front door wearing a black glove and a 25-liter Ozark Trail hiker pack likely bought from Walmart. The FBI describes this person as a man between 5'9" and 5'10" with an average build.
Let's hope that this glove comes back with a positive hit in the CODIS system. If not, then they will likely go into the genealogical DNA systems to see if there's a match there, because again, CODIS is only for those that are in the criminal system already.
News Digital has learned that investigators are using a high-tech Bluetooth scanner on the bottom of a law enforcement helicopter trying to pick up a signal from Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker. The helicopter has been flying in low, slow grid patterns in the area around Nancy's home. Meanwhile, neighbors and friends are growing a memorial in front of her house with flowers and notes, just encouraging the family to keep staying strong. Meanwhile, the FBI is offering a $100,000 reward for any information leading to Guthrie's recovery or the arrest and conviction of anyone involved in her disappearance. Back to you.
Asher, horrible, horrible situation that continues to unfold. Curious, what can you tell us about the latest message that Savannah Guthrie posted? I know that it seems she and her siblings have been pretty vocal on social media, trying to reach out to any alleged kidnapper, trying to get some kind of feedback from them as to the whereabouts of their mom. What was the status about her latest update?
In Savannah Guthrie's latest video, she really talked directly to the suspect, pleading for them to, quote, do the right thing. And she seemed to be pretty sympathetic in the situation that would normally be pretty high stress for most people. Now, it's also important to know what the president is now saying about this disappearance. Just in the last few hours, President Trump is saying that he wants the Department of Justice to seek the death penalty in this case if Nancy Guthrie is not alive when she's found. Now, this is also big news, especially since Arizona is a death penalty state.
Yeah, Asher, definitely something to keep an eye on. I appreciate your hard work reporting, letting us know where things stand. Of course, if we get any new information, we'll check back in with you, but thank you so much for your hard work reporting today. Guys, as we continue, I want to let you know coming up, we want to get a check of your weather forecast. I also want to let you know if we can, maybe we'll be able to have some time to check back in the courtroom in Hall County, dip in live to what is unfolding with the first few beginnings of witness testimony as the first few witnesses begin to take the stand in the trial of Colin Gray, father of accused Apalachee High School shooter Colt Gray. So that is coming up next. Welcome back in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here live with us on your Monday afternoon. For those of you watching here from the Metro Atlanta area, North Georgia, I want to get a check of your weather forecast here for the week ahead. So we're going to check in with meteorologist Alex Forbes. And then after that, I'd like to dip into our coverage unfolding live in the courtroom as we get the latest from witness testimony. The first few witnesses beginning to testify in the trial of Colin Gray. He's the father of accused Apalachee High School shooter Colt Gray. So let's listen to our weather forecast. Meteorologist Alex Forbes is going to take it away.
Clear skies, the name of the game across Metro Atlanta and North Georgia this afternoon as temperatures are in the 60s. What more can you ask for on a February afternoon? It's way above the norm. 58 is where we should be. I'm looking for 67 as a high temperature here within the next couple of hours. 68 tomorrow for Mardi Gras, 70 on Wednesday, 76 on Thursday, 75 on Friday. Are we sure it's February? Now, you know how we get fake fall in September. This is fake spring in February. We will get back to reality by the time we get towards Sunday with a high temperature of 59. That's going to be on the flip side of some rain on the way some point through the weekend. Here's a closer look at this President's Day. 68 in Smyrna, 66 in Lawrenceville today, 67 in Conyers, 69 over in South Fulton, and 67 in Villa Rica. Here you go down on the south side, a little closer to 70 in a handful of spots. And then up on the north side, might even hit 70 in a handful of spots. There's Rome and Cedartown, 68 in Cartersville, 65 in Cornelia, 66 in Clayton, 67 in Blue Ridge, and 67 over in Dalton. Now, through the day today, you're going to be looking at plenty of sunshine, and that's going to allow for clear skies tonight. That means it's going to be cool on Mardi Gras morning with temperatures low to mid 40s, maybe even some 30s up on the north side. And then into the afternoon, yeah, there you go, on the warmer side. Wednesday is when things begin to change a bit. Getting some cloud cover building in with some scattered showers Wednesday afternoon, the rain chance at about 10%. But then we get towards Thursday and Friday. This is the GFS here. You see some widespread showers in here Friday afternoon with the bulk of the rain coming through sometime late Saturday, it looks like. This isn't entirely bad news because this would mean a lot more rainfall, but you look at the European model and it has better timing on it. This is Friday morning. Rush hour won't be fun, trust me, but if we're able to get this through here Friday, say by 3 o'clock, we're going to be smooth sailing into the weekend, and I would vote for that one if I had the opportunity to. But still some uncertainty there, so we're going with a 40% chance of rain both days. 70 beginning Wednesday, 10% chance of rain there. Overnight low temperatures also on the warmer side. Keep in mind our average high is 58. Our low temperature on Friday should be right around 60 before we're cooler into Sunday. Meteorologist Lauren Robinson is going to have an update to this forecast tonight on Fox 5 News at 4, 5, and 6. You can, of course, catch that on Fox 5 and streaming here on Fox Local.
Awesome, Alex. Thanks so much for letting us know what to expect with our forecast this week. Definitely going to make the most of the warmer temperatures while we have them. Guys, as we continue, I want to take you back to the courtroom in Hall County as jurors have begun to hear the beginnings of witness testimony. I understand a teacher is one of the first few witnesses on the stand talking about what unfolded September 4th, 2024, when Colt Gray is accused of walking into that high school, Apalachee High School in Barrow County, ultimately opening fire and killing 4 people. Let's go ahead and dip in and listen live to her testimony.
After the police had come in, he had said something that he was also injured. And then when we had gotten out of the room and up to the top of the hill, Jackson had said that he asked me to look at the back of his leg. And he did have something lodged into the back of his leg.
Okay. Did you see Christian Angulo in the room?
Mm-hmm.
Where was he located at?
He was in front of the door. And he was on the ground.
What, could you tell if he was alive or not?
He was alive. And Coach Edwards said that we needed to make a barricade around him after everything, all the shots had fired. And so they stacked desk around because he didn't want to move him. And while I was helping Natalie and Melanie and Nautica in the corner, there was a moment where me and Coach Edwards had looked at each other and said that they needed to come because it wasn't good. And when they came finally, They had pronounced him dead while we were here.
It shows Mark Stacy at number 39.
Yes, that's Christian.
Is that an accurate representation of Christian Angulo? You are on Interstate Exhibit number 39 in the evidence.
Yeah, objection.
Could you tell where he had been injured at?
I didn't get close enough to him to see where he had been shot.
How long did y'all stay in that room before the police came?
It was quite a bit of time. I would say probably 20 minutes.
Okay. How did they get in the room, the police?
They had a key. Then they had to push through all of the stuff that they had piled in front of the door.
Y'all had barricaded stuff in front of the door? Okay.
Ronaldo did.
What did they do when they came in first?
They had their weapons drawn and were telling them to put their hands up, but I had stood up out of the corner and walked in front of the middle of the room and said, "No, we need help."
Okay. And did medical personnel start coming into the room?
They did not. So I had started to tell them where everyone that I knew was hurt. And they had, at the beginning, asked me to help carry Natalie because there was only a few of them. And then more ended up coming into the room.
Okay, so they took Natalie out?
I didn't see them take Natalie out. So when they came in the room, they flipped the lights on. And that's when the students had noticed Christian on the floor. And they knew he wasn't with us anymore. And so the students began to get really upset. And they had pronounced him dead, but we had to walk by him out the door.
Because he was right in front of the door?
Yeah, and Martin started holding Brittany's face and telling her she could do it. And I had to grab Hayden and tell her that it was going to be okay, just to get them out the door.
Where were they going?
They were exiting us up towards the right, up the top of the hill after you leave J Hall.
Okay. Did you stay at the top of the hill very long?
No, or I don't know. We were the first ones up on the top of the hill.
So y'all were like the first students evacuated?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did other students start coming out from other classrooms?
They did.
Okay. Did y'all stay on the hill or did they move you somewhere else?
They started ushering us towards the football field.
Okay. And what happened when you got to the football field?
I started ushering students to the football field and waving my hands. And I came across two students that I had taught before. And they came up and hugged me. And they said, "Miss Ryan, why do you have blood on your hands?" And that's when I noticed that I had blood on my hands. And so I just hid my hands because I didn't know where to go wash them yet. And we got up to the top of the hill. And I can't really remember what they were wanting us to do, but we just got all the students to the middle of the football field.
Listening to a teacher
At some point, did you
testify
realize
in
that
the
one of your
courtroom
students...
there about the aftermath of that school shooting that unfolded at Apalachee High on September 4th, 2024. She's recounting those traumatic events that unfolded as she tried to keep her students safe and recounted the death of one of her students, Christian Angulo, who was one of the 4 that was killed in that high school shooting. As we continue here, you guys, we're going to go out live with our Chris Rosenthal, or actually we're going to go out with our Chris Rosenthal coming up next. I want to get you a check of some volunteering that's happening on this federal holiday. And then as we continue, I'd like to come back to that courtroom. I know some of you are still asking questions and want to know what's unfolding, so we'll get a check of that as we continue here at 3 o'clock. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstott. We just got some breaking news here confirmed into our newsroom earlier this morning. We learned that President Donald Trump was going to head here to Georgia, and now we have it confirmed officially from the White House that the president is expected to travel to Rome, Georgia this Thursday. He's going to give remarks on affordability and the economy, followed by a local business visit. Further, White House press official says that the president is focused with, quote, ending Joe Biden's inflation crisis, and he says that, or rather the official says that the president's visit to Rome is going to underscore the importance and the work that the administration has already done to raise real wages and accelerate economic growth, work that the White House wants to continue to deliver for Georgians. So again, that is a statement from a White House press official as you take a live look at the White House there. As we get new information on to the timing of the president's visit, we'll let you know, but keep in mind this visit is happening in Rome, Georgia this Thursday. Traffic will likely be something you're going to want to steer well clear of, so keep that in mind. As we continue, we'll let you know more details about that right here in Fox Local as we get them. But I'd like to go outside with our Chris Rosenthal as we take a look at some of the work that volunteers are doing on this federal holiday to help keep our state beautiful.
Well, it's Weed Wrangle 2026. This is an event that started in Nashville, but it's taking place all across the Southeast and here in Metro Atlanta and in Georgia, where the Georgia Native Plant Society is out over the weekend and today on President's Day at various parks and locations. Picking weeds, pulling apart those species of plants that shouldn't be here, that are really damaging to the ecosystem. Lots of volunteers out here today, and I spoke with Susie Nixich just about why they're here.
Usually, non-native plants, invasive ones, usually spread all through the parks, and it blocks any growth for all our native plants. Once we remove them, we'll see things like elderberry, American holly, Christmas ferns start coming up, where they've been in the seed bank for God knows how many years, but things like ivy or Chinese privet or Japanese privet just block all the sun and don't let anything native grow.
And this area right here, I mean, just tell me about this. This is a perfect example, huh?
Yeah, this is a pretty good example. We do have some natives in here. We've got some native blackberry that's going crazy, but we also have, this is a cherry laurel that is really invasive. I mean, it is a very aggressive. You can see there's 3 of them right there. When it berries, you'll see these blackberries all over the trees. A good wind. It's good. I mean, I pulled thousands of them out.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of stuff we're trying to get rid of here, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely. We have to get rid of this stuff. We also have native blackberries, but we also have a non-native one. It's just hard to tell which one is which right now because there's no leaves on it. But a good thing to rule of thumb is if it's evergreen, chances are it's not native, and you can always tell in the wintertime, right? Yeah. So we've got some privet down there, and that privet's, well, maybe see that green coming out of there with the tiny leaf? That's a privet. They're pulling out more cherry laurel.
And this stuff, I mean, this comes right in here off the highway, huh? And it spreads into the parks and other areas and comes from residential areas.
Yeah, birds drop it, right? We'll drop the seeds. It comes in tons of different ways. Sometimes people even come and plant stuff like this in parks.
This is what we want to see, this kind of area, huh? This is what we're trying to protect, right?
Yes, definitely. We want to see one of my favorite plants is the American holly. There's more American hollies here than I've seen anywhere in Atlanta. We want to see, non-natives block even the growth of all the beech trees, and look how beautiful the beaches look in the wintertime. They're the best plants. I just love them.
So when you get rid of the invasive stuff, the native stuff grows, huh?
Yeah, it starts coming up. Here's an invasive plant right here. This is the Chinese holly, okay? And look at the difference between the American holly. This is what you want. We take these out, but you see these, you can buy these in stores, you can't buy those in stores. And hopefully that'll change someday.
So when you're buying plants, you should be mindful of what you're getting, if you're getting an invasive or not.
Yeah, and we have some all native nurseries in Atlanta. Look on the Georgia Native Plant Society website, because it has a list of all the native nurseries. And I think more of your standard nurseries are starting to bring more natives in. You know, things like echinacea you've always seen in black-eyed Susan, but you elderberry, you want to see sedges, native sedges sold in stores. You want to see big leaf magnolias sold in stores, which is one of the coolest trees in North America.
You know, one of the things I was surprised to learn about today was monkey grass. You probably have that in your yard. Well, it's not native, and Susie says it's not good to have. It's not good for the other native species of plants here. So just one of the many things to look out for. Be careful what you plant and what you have in your own yards. Now, if you missed today's Weed Wrangle, there are plenty of opportunities to volunteer. The Georgia Native Plant Society would love to have your help at some of the various parks and events that they have going on. You can go on their website to find out more. Back to you.
Awesome, Chris. Thanks so much for letting us know how we can get involved, make our communities just a little bit more beautiful. Guys, as we continue here, we're waiting for the 4 o'clock news to start. We're coming off of some sports programming, and then we'll be able to watch our 4 o'clock news. And in the meantime, as we take a quick break here, I want to come back and dip back into the courtroom as we continue to hear witness testimony in the trial of Colin Gray. I understand a parent is on the stand at this time. You can see a live look now. We've heard emotional testimony as the day is just getting started. I'd like to continue listening to this when we come back.
More and more parents